Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, folks.
Hey, Artie, you old retread region president, you.
Jim, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right. Although Debbie won't say that, but yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Let's
Well,
see. Fred's muted. John's muted. Uh,
Morning, everyone.
there's Fred. Good morning, Fred. Nice background, Fred. Nice coach. What year's your Airstream motorhome?
It's a 95.
Nice. Yeah. Morning, Stephen. Hey, Terry.
Good morning. How you doing today?
Very well, thanks. Hey, Bart, I blew up that picture you made, the 8x8 picture. I made it into a poster and took it to a couple of rallies.
Bard, you were muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yes, thank you. It's all my scribbling. Yes.
Yeah, good. It worked out real well. People appreciated it.
Surprising what you can do in 2 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
morning, Millie.
It's fine. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Stephen. It's nice to see you.
Good morning, Terry. You too.
Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting in about 4 or 5 minutes, actually.
Morning, Kendall.
Good morning. How are you doing, Terry?
Good. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Hi, Florence.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's 5 o'clock here. Oh, yeah. Where's here? Dubrovnik. Nice. It is. It's very nice. But all those steps, I'm going to have buns of steel.
I guess that means you can drink wine during the meeting.
I see you blowing on that coffee.
Is Millie here? I don't see Millie.
Yes. Yep, I'm here.
Okay. I'm doing an early tally here. Hello.
Hello.
Morning, Jenny.
How are you guys?
Good.
Kathy, your freckles are showing. You must be getting some sun.
Oh, I'm definitely getting some sun and lots of exercise, but I did just go have an affogato with the espresso and the gelato. So I'm pumped and ready to go.
So
I gotta
Eric,
grab-
I'm sorry. I think we're missing Alan, Gary Russo, Christine. I know Ginger's not coming, but she has a replacement coming, and Rick and Sean.
Is Ty coming?
No,
Hi, Terry. Just to clarify, we were not made aware. So is Region 7's first VP, Chris Olson, going to fill in for Ginger?
he is.
Okay, we will. We see him as the attendee, so we will get him promoted
Thank you, Lori.
as a panelist. Thank you. Yeah, we may have to turn the video on and we do a screen share.
So we're still missing 6.
Yeah, Terry and all, we will get started. I'm going to give up to 1 minute after.
Okay.
We have as always, a very full agenda. So people will have to catch up if they aren't able to join on time.
Okay.
You see Patty G. Is she coming in? Yeah, okay.
Who's Patty coming in for?
Gary Russo.
Okay. Morning, Chris Olson.
There, found the unmute button. Good morning.
Morning.
Do we know if Rick Everson from Region 8 will be here, or is his first VP filing or filling in?
I've not heard anything to the contrary of him coming.
There's Patty. Hi, Patty. Long time no see.
How you doing?
Good.
We got the
Very
JV
nice to see you here.
Oh, thank you. We've got the JV squad in.
You'll do a
Gary-
great job.
Gary's out of the country on vacation.
Nice.
Morning, Christine.
All right, we're going to get going. I have put my phone on silent, so no interruptions. I want to welcome you all to our May International Board of Trustees meeting. This meeting is recorded, and it can be found on our club website under airstreamclub.org/IBT for International Board of Trustees today. So today I'm going to try to keep this meeting to 2 hours. For a couple of reasons. One is a number of you have indicated that you do have commitments at around 2.5 hours. Also, of course, it's just we'll try to get through it, but I would just ask all of you that keep your comments succinct and on point, and we'll see how we do. But fundamentally, we're going to get the job done today. I will be limiting discussion to roughly 15 minutes per item, unless there is a determination by the board we want to continue on. The same thing, we've typically just given 3 minutes max for presenter to have comments. So I would ask that you hold to that also. And I'll be giving, as always, priority to first-time commenters. So for example, if on any given particular item, a number of you have comments, I'm going to wait till all the comments have been received, and then we'll loop back around to people who have already had a chance to ask their question. So, all righty, I'll be handed over to you. Terry, if you could do a roll call, please.
Yes. Lori Tilton also, I think Christine Kirk is sitting in for Alan if she needs to be promoted.
Yeah, we will when we get to new business, but
Okay.
Christine and Brad Briggs will be promoted at that time. Right now, we're trying to get Sean Blom in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. President Eric McHenry,
Present.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
I'm here. EC member John Becker,
Present.
EC member Jim Cock,
Present.
EC member Kathy Giese,
Present.
EC member Marcia House,
Present.
EC member Jenny Schnettler,
Present.
EC member Kendall Felder,
Present.
Region 1 President Bard Fuller,
Present.
Region 2 President Gary Russo is not in attendance, but Patty G is taking his place. Correct? All right. Region 3 President Christine Baum. I thought I saw Christine.
Yes, present.
Okay, thank you. Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Present.
Region 5 President Artie Martin.
Present.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Present.
Region 7 President Ginger Slattery is not able to be with us today, but Chris Olson is taking her place, and I believe that he is present.
Present.
Thank you, Chris. Region 8 President Rick Everson, I do not see yet. Does anyone see him? Okay. Region 9 President Nancy Fitzgerald.
Present.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Present.
Region 11 President Stephen Parr.
Present.
Region 12 President, there's Sean Bloom.
Present.
Parliamentarian Lori Grassi. I think she's there.
Morning. Yes,
Good morning. Executive Director Lori Tilton.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have two people absent, and everyone else is here.
Excuse me, Terry, I see Ed O'Connor, the first VP of Region 8.
Okay.
We'll promote him.
Lovely. What is his name again? Sorry.
Ed O'Connor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're set to jet.
All right, thank you, Terry. And just as a reminder, we have a couple people that are absent. So our interim treasurer, Alan Rabb, is absent. He's on a plane somewhere, but we understood that it was so important that we get a strong financial report that he has pre-recorded a video with y'all that we'll show when we get down to the treasurer's report. In addition, a couple of members of his strong finance committee, both Sean Blom and Christine Kirk, will be presenting a couple of items on his behalf. And so we'll get to that when we get to that. But thanks to Alan ahead of time for doing that. My only comments from the president's report, you can take a look at it, obviously, is just that the campfire chats. I just want to thank both Florence and also for Ray Combs in terms of Caravan for joining us last week. They continue to be highly appreciated by the members that go. They're an hour and 15 minutes long. We do twice in the same day. And it really is a good chance to have interactive discussions with our members.
Oops.
So if you want to copy that, let me know.
Eric, I think we missed the minutes.
Okay, approval of minutes.
I sent out to you all corrected minutes. We had a previous IBT member find an error in the minutes, and I corrected that. Are there any additional corrections or suggestions? I always appreciate it when you send me corrections or suggestions, by the way.
Jim Cock, do you have a comment?
Absent any comments from anyone, I move that we accept the minutes as provided without a reading.
Second, Florence.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, any comment? Lori Grassi, your hand's up.
My comment is not on the minutes, so continue with your vote, please.
All right, all in without objection, the minutes are approved as is. Thank you, Terry, and all for getting us up to speed. All right, now we'll continue. I've gone over my brief president's report. In the interest of time, I'll just stay that for the rest of it. We have a couple of executive council reports. Let me call Marcia and Kendall. They have two.
Mr. President, now I need to make my comment. On page 660, motion 2024-17 should have reflect the signatures of both CBL Chair Brad Briggs and myself, and that is omitted on the motion as presented. Thank you.
Okay. All right, are we ready to go into executive council reports? Okay, let me ask Marcia to go first, and then Kendall, and then we'll do around the table.
All right, I just wanted to share a quick update of the progress we've made on the club and dealer playbook. So we have made substantial progress since last time I shared this. We've reviewed a ready-to-go version with Airstream Inc. And let me go to that. So the playbook itself, version 1.0, we're sure there'll be updated versions as we update the contact lists and add other collateral and literature. But this is a true playbook, meaning the definition of it shows us how to get the job done, how to build our relationship and partnership with the dealers. It includes the documented purpose, the value. It talks about the increased opportunity it creates for us as a club, as well as for the dealers, their opportunity to get feedback and repeat sales. We talk about the approach we're going to take, the resources that we have, and it's a place where we document all the contacts that we have both on our side and the dealer's side. So a version of that, it's about 15 pages. It's a PowerPoint. It's not heavy in text to read, lots of pictures, charts, and tables. It also creates the links to all the supporting marketing collateral that we have around the club, both at the regional level and at the international level. So we have photos of that throughout the playbook itself, but we also have links to all of that. So Lori and her team have done a fabulous job filling that out and making it ready to go. What are the next steps? So our path forward is we're going to share this final version with Airstream Inc., including all that additional literature. We're going to incorporate the dealer contact list that they promised us last week that they'll get to us, an updated one. We have an initial one. We are also then in the final two steps expanding the existence of, we have a tentative name. It's a little too long right now, but Dealer Partner Relations Ambassadors. And we're going to conduct some form of kickoff session. We know that some of these roles exist throughout the regions. So we want to bring those partners together, share best practices, and initiate an overall partners program. So we're going to decide in the background if that is a committee or just a leadership role, and we'll bring that news to you shortly. This will capitalize on all those existing relationships and continue to help build new. And we also wanted to share that there's some tremendous progress underway just because of all of the work we've been doing, talking about this, getting people's feedback and opinions. Lori's getting invited to work with new dealers. The regions and clubs are sharing back with us, the committee, the rallies that dealers are participating in, the sponsorships, the luncheons, the tours, the RV shows. So I threw a few of those pictures up on the screen, but just want to celebrate how much work has already gone on here and how ready we are to make it even better. That's everything.
That's fantastic, Marcia. Thanks for all the work on this. Okay, unshare that. That'd be great.
Gotta find the button. Thank you.
All right, so in our strategy session, you'll remember that for the second time in a year in a row, the question came up about designing an app, a mobile phone app. And on the EC, we typically hand out assignments for special projects or initiatives. And Kendall, our newest member to the EC, raised his hand and volunteered. So I thought Kendall could give an update today to the board on sort of where we are with the app.
Thank you, Eric, for that. So yes, I took the initiative to start investigating what it would take to get a native app created for iOS as well as Android platforms. We are in the early budget seeking stage. We created a document to send out to multiple vendors for bidding. So that they were all the same, all on the same sheet of music when it came to submitting a price to us, a budget to us. And we're starting to get those numbers in. The goal is to create an application for mobile platforms that is native to the platform that allows members to easily get to their member homepage, as well as look up BRNs and then any events. And those are early stages. Of course, we're looking at into the future, once initial gets drafted, going back in and doing updates to add additional information that is maybe needed for membership. If once we get the project rolling, if it gets approved, then we will go into a test phase. And during that point, we can make changes as needed, or remember, we can test it in the beta to make sure that it works where we want it. And then we will get it rolled out with continuous updates, making sure that it operates for our membership as needed. But from my perspective, looking at it, where the concept that we have so far is it will be fantastic to have all this information available to members in their hands in a mobile application that is easy to use. And that is what I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Kendall. And so, as he mentioned, when we get the estimates, Alan and his finance committee are already aware of it. We're going to add this as something for the IBT to consider for the upcoming budget. Now, whether it fits in the budget or not, we'll find out. But at least we'll have a budget for what it costs the club to do. Kendall, if people have other input or questions, do you want them just to contact you directly?
Yes, yeah. Any questions, please just reach out to me via email directly. I'd be happy to answer them. Or you can call me or text me, either one. Also, it all works.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any other updates from the Executive Council members? I recognize Jim Cock.
Yeah, I did not bring it to this very full agenda. I'm just going to mention briefly for everyone's benefit. I will be bringing after this meeting, a couple days after, an electronic petition for you to consider approving a new intra-club streaming musicians. They're really excited. They're really inclusive. It's going to be a neat thing. I'll share it with you, but not today. Thank you.
Jim, our WBCCI band has been hinting around at this concept. Is that somehow tied into this?
Well, they currently constitute a majority of the charter members, but it's not limited to musicians. You have to have an interest or appreciation of music. You don't have to be able to play or sing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And I see hands from Kathy and from Jenny. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thanks. I just want to give a real quick update because I know there's so much interest in our audience about Harvest Host. I have a Zoom immediately following this one tonight with the key players from Harvest Host. Their software engineers have been working on getting the information already. We have 250 very enthusiastic, excited courtesy parking hosts, and we're moving forward, still targeting late summer, early fall for rolling this out to members. That's it.
Thanks, Kathy. And again, for those of you who aren't privy to see all the emails, which most of you aren't, it's a tremendous body of work. So thank you, Kathy, for taking this on. It's a lot of questions from our members. Kathy goes back to our members and answers questions personally. So it's been fantastic. Thank you. Jenny.
Well, first I want to celebrate the doers. I mean, look at all the work that's going on. Marcia, that's amazing. Jim, that's fantastic. Kendall, thank you so much. And Kathy. But I also want to celebrate Jim Cock and Fred Keel because they have been slogging it out in this awful heat, renovating 707. And on a shoestring budget and a great attitude, these guys are flipping that building on its ear. You know, they're taking what was kind of a dowdy, dated look, unbelievable new floor plan, walls are going up, just incredible stuff. Met with the carpet people yesterday, so things are happening. It's going to be something everybody can be very, very proud of. And hopefully we're going to give our staff a great workspace that they can really feel appreciated. So I want to express my appreciation to Fred and to Jim. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jen.
thanks, you guys. I understand Region 4 also put out a request for assistance to help out. And it is really, I mean, that is the spirit of our club, right? You know, volunteering, helping, and just on the cost savings, the expense savings. I think we can be pretty proud of what approach we've taken to save the club dollars on that. Thank you, Jenny, for being the project manager for this. I really appreciate that. Any other executive council updates before we move on to executive director updates? All right, seeing none, Ms. Tilton, executive director update, please.
Thanks, Eric. My fiscal report is in the book, but I want to give you an update on membership numbers since the beginning of the month. We're at 9,500 memberships this morning, with a dozen or so pending, which equals a little over about 17,000 members within our club, 17,480. About 16% of our membership is singles on their membership. So excited about that we're on a very steady growth pace. I also want to make sure we point out that we do have a new staff member that started with us 3 weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago, time flies. And that is Jen Thomas. She is working the phones, the front desk, member services. So she's been a great addition to the team, and we're really excited about that. Tagging on to what Jenny was saying, I have a few pictures to show. Now I want to share with y'all. These were like 3 weeks ago, so I should have ran over this morning because, as Jenny said, Jim and Fred and John Schnettler, we can't forget Jenny's husband, who's also been here doing the work. Jamie Kingseed's been here, and I know there's been a few other folks here. So it's just amazing watching the amount of people coming over and helping with this project. So for those that were here, this is just some of the demolition. I did not get any of the new photos for the windows and stuff they put in, which is amazing. So this is just a real quick through of everything that they have been tearing down and getting ready for that rebuild up. So we're super excited about all of that happening over in that space, especially this space. This will be our future break area. So when the team takes their lunch, they don't have to go sit in their car. They can actually sit in an air-conditioned place or a warm place, depending on the time of year here in Ohio. So all of this is coming together quite nicely, and super excited. Also, I wanted to share with you guys, if you have not had the opportunity, we have recently updated our homepage to give a more vibrant look to it, and to what technically called a carousel. So now when you go to our homepage, we have this video running. There is music to it. You can see the little mute button on the bottom left. So if you want to hear the music, you can. And then after this video, it goes into some still carousels, which we will be updating as time goes on to make sure any of the relevant information is there. Again, to learn more about the club, and then if we have events going on and as of that nature. And then, as Marcia said, we've built a new page as well on the website, which we're calling our collateral library, which I will send more information to everybody to share with their teams, and we'll work with Barb Darian and the membership committee. But here under club news, where you see this collateral library. So under here is all of our information, all of our places to go to get people to join, to learn about the benefits. Then our physical brochures, our door hangers, our brief sheets, and all this stuff we have that can be utilized for recruitment. We will be adding, and it's my fault, we do have a request form. So when people want this, they can fill it out and we will physically mail it to you, but we just haven't got it posted there yet, which that should be done within the next couple of days. So again, super excited about getting some of this stuff on the website so all of our members can have access to it and share the greatness of the club. Also, I wanted to give an update on our Sedalia rally. We are at 1,306 registrations this morning, so that is huge. I think Christy just posted since 2002 was the last time we were even close to that number. So super excited about that. The schedule of events, of course, the team is extremely busy updating that daily. So keep an eye on the website for all the new stuff. And then one of the newest things we did this year is add a train package. And I know some of you might be saying, what? Why did you guys add a train package? Well, we added a train package for those who cannot tow. We still have members that are in this club that want to come to rally, and they either are aging out of towing their rigs broke down or whatever's going on in their world, but they still want to come to rally. So we worked really hard on building this package for our members to be able to get to the rally. So that is on the rally website. It just says train, and there was an email that went out the other day. And actually I know some of our members like going on the train. So that is out there for our membership to enjoy this year. We'll see how well that goes. So that is my current updates on my report.
Thanks, Lori. And, you know, if successful, which I suspect it will be, we're planning to continue the idea of having packages for people who can't or don't want to tow that far. And as Lori mentioned, it includes things as shuttles. That's kind of the key thing as a member of the club. You know, you're sitting there, and if you don't have your trailer, it's kind of problematic because maybe you want to go take a nap at 2 o'clock like I do. And so there'll be shuttles to and from the hotel for people and allow them to come back to the rally in the evening, enjoy the evening time, not have to worry about drive back after dark to their hotel. So it's really an effort to connect our members to their old friends. And I fall in that same category. So thank you, Lori and the rally team, for adding that to our rally structure. All right. We have no special orders. Sorry. Okay. Committee reports. First, the quarterly financial update. As I mentioned, Alan's traveling, but we felt it was important enough for his first official treasurer's report, quarterly report, to have his presence. So, Lori, if you want to spin that up, and then we'll go to Sean Blom for Q&A.
Lori, I don't hear any sound.
Yeah, no sound yet.
I think he's talking.
I'm sorry?
I think he's talking, but there's no sound.
Okay, hang on one second. Yeah. Of course, we had it working earlier. Was the one we had yesterday? I believe so.
If we can't get this quickly, I'm going to have Sean talk through the slides, then we'll come back to the video if you can get it spun up later. So let me know, Lori.
Yeah, of course, you know, technology, we tested this earlier and we had it working just fine.
Okay, so let's bring the slides up, and Sean, why don't you speak to them, and we'll flip it through that way. So you can share the slides, Lori.
Your screen and go to the presentation that Alan has in there where he summarizes the budget. Should be page 4 in that document.
I'm sorry, Sean, what was that?
Just go back to that video that you have, and we're going to go to the budget update that he has contained within there, and we can just show the numbers. And if that doesn't work, I'll just talk through it.
I just Googled it. There's usually a share computer sound checkbox at the bottom as you're sharing it that you need to make sure is checked.
Yeah, this is actually a media player file, and we did have that. Again, we tested it just like an hour, 2 hours ago, and it worked.
Yep, this is good. This is good. Let me just talk through it. Just bottom line, we're in a good spot. So if you look at the top item there, as far as revenue, we've got 83% of our revenue, which we're actually 75% of the year. So from that point of view, we're in a really good position. You heard Lori talk about membership earlier. So that's really the driver. And Alan highlighted some expenses that maybe are a little bit higher than planned, but all in all, if you look at the bottom line, he's exactly where he wants us to be this time of year. So no particular issues that he and the rest of us are concerned about. So good job, everyone. We're in a good spot. There is lots of work that needs to still be done by the finance committee. And trust me, Alan has us all on task. But we have a project to clean up the balance sheet and a few other key things like reserves, which we'll talk about later. But that's really the financials in a nutshell.
Okay, let's unshare that, Laura, if you could, and we'll take questions from the IBT.
And real quickly, Eric, if I could jump in there, when you guys are in the meeting book and board effect, there is a link to that video. So everybody can see that video. Apologize again. We tested it yesterday, tested it today.
Okay, so let's the questions. Any questions from the board on the finance committee report? All right, seeing none. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the financial update, financial report?
I move we approve it.
I didn't catch who that was. I apologize. Say your name and then who it was.
Jenny, I move we approve it.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have a second?
I second.
This is Kendall. I second.
All right, I think Millie was in there first. Any other discussion on the finance treasurer's report? Okay, I guess without disagreement, it passes as is. Thank you, Alan and the team. It's a very strong team now. I'm just really pleased at the work that they've done, and you'll see a little bit more from the finance committee in the day-to-day as we talk about our reserve policies and such. So thank you for that. All right, standing committee reports. So we have a whole ton of them. They are listed as attachments to the agenda. You'll see it for the members who are on the webpage, and you also, as IBT members and region VPs, you will see it in the board book. I did want to make one mention. One of the things that Brad Briggs and his team did is that they uncovered some gaps that we have in our CBL that really need to get addressed. They're not crucial for the next 2 or 3 months, but they are inconsistencies and gaps. And so after talking with Brad and also the chair of our International Leadership Recruitment Oversight Committee, Jennifer Dice, we made the decision that Brad and Jen Dice will be taking a look at a whole bunch of things that, again, clarification related to elections, related to a variety of things throughout the bylaws. Brad and Jennifer tell me that they are planning to start working on this probably toward the mid-June. They will be leveraging to some extent from their committees, but they're also looking for help from the IBT members. So if you're interested in helping Jen and Brad kind of wrap this all up or get that together again, please reach out to them ASAP and volunteer. So again, thanks, Brad, for that. Brad's going to be on the agenda a little bit later. And so if you have any questions for Brad on this, you can ask him when he comes on screen later for one of his motions. All right. I see a hand. Go ahead, Florence.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. This might not be the right place, but I just want to insert a comment that Eric had asked Christine and I to submit a closing report to the Special Committee on Election Policies. That report is bigger than we thought, and it won't be ready to present until August. So just wanted to let you know we're not forgetting about this.
All right, thank you, Florence. And as you'll see in the agenda, a number of action items have already been resolved through that special committee. Thank you, guys. And by the way, they've met a ton of hours also, and you'll see some of them and later down the agenda for motions. All right, no unfinished business. Lori, Grassi, or Tilton, do we have any member comments that came in?
No, Eric, nothing came in.
Okay. Great. All right, now we're going to go to the consent section 9.0. And again, as a reminder, this is a section for things that we feel we can vote on as a package that we do not have to discuss. And so if there's anything in the consent items that a board member wants to pull out of consent and talk about individually, we can do that now. So is there on items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3, Is there any interest in pulling any of these out for separate discussion? Please let me know now.
Could you tell me what page that's on in our board?
Page 2 and page 3. It's items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3.
Thank you.
And the 3 items are Charter Oak name change, 900 numbers for people who have completed work on the national events rallies, and flags for executive council and parliamentarian. So without objection, I move to consider items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 together. Do I have a motion to pass those 3 together?
Eric, do we need seconds?
The whole type.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to pass those all together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, say your name when you do a motion, because that way it's for the record also.
Millie O'Donnell, I move that we go ahead and accept those.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second.
Name, please, just so everyone can.
Kathy Giese.
All right, thanks, Kathy. We have a second. Any other discussion on 9.1 through 9.3?
Mr. President, it might be helpful for some folks to understand that that's motions 2024-9, 24-10, and 2024-16.
Okay, thank you. And, I often refer to them by the item number because it's agendized that way, but yes, good point. All right, so without objection, items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3 pass as written. Any objections? All right, so pass. Thank you all. Thank you all for the work on that. All righty, new business. And so Christine Kirk, I see her on screen there. She's from our finance committee and has been on our finance committee, Christine, for how many years now?
2.
2 years. Thank you. All right, Christine, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk through the reserve policy proposal.
Okay, so I know many of you have been part of this discussion before, but what we want to do is now deliver this for a vote. We are advising that we establish a reserve policy that then becomes something that we accrue for and we actively develop and monitor on a yearly basis. We have proposed that we divide that reserve into 3 different reserves. One for operational reserve, and a good example of the use of that would be something like the pandemic. A technology reserve, because as most of you know, we have to, on an ongoing basis, refresh our technology. There are other things that we want to do from a technology perspective, like a mobile app. So this would be where those funds come from. And then lastly, infrastructure, that's, funds for building renovations, funds for new roofs, just the fixed assets that we have as a company. We are proposing overall about $750,000 of reserve. This wouldn't happen overnight. Obviously, we would get there slowly as we can financially, but we feel like it's important to have a significant amount of reserves. We used to, as a club, have that type of reserve. But as I think all of you know, those reserves have been depleted over the last few years, both from using the technology, using those monies to develop the website that we have now, the database that we have now, as well as some funds that had to be used when we had to cancel rallies due to COVID. So we want to bring it up to where they have been in the past, but we also propose that we divide them so that we can manage them with the unique, because each of these have unique characteristics. The operational would be more of a one-time things happen. Technology is an ongoing thing that we would deposit money into those reserves and withdraw money as we have big technology programs. And then the infrastructure is kind of self-explanatory. Any questions?
I just wanted to recommend, Christine, that you make the motion first so that people understand the discussion that follows.
Yeah, Lori,
Okay.
let me handle that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, first of all, this comes from a committee, so no second is required. And then just to be clear, can you read the motion, please, Christine?
I move that a new section 7 financial services be created by bylaw article 16 and new section C managing financial reserves be added to policy 16.6.1 as shown in exhibit 1. The remaining sections in policy 16.6.1 will be relettered.
Okay, if you could also then, again, no second required because it comes from the financial committee. If you could also, Christine, just go through the purpose and impact, please.
This policy amendment will result in WBCCI having free reserve funds starting in the remainder of the fiscal year 2024. New reserve funds for technology infrastructure will be created in addition to the current operating reserve fund. Each year, contributions will be made to each fund until the reserve balance goals are met. This process will take years to establish a fully funded reserve. The following chart conceptualizes this proposal.
Okay, thank you, Christine. I think we can waive reading of the remainder of it on background and financial impact. It is in your board pack. It is on the public portal. Any discussion from the board or questions? Okay, John Becker.
I just want to say to everyone that I very much support the entire concept of having a well-defined reserve policy, the pieces of it, as well as the transition approach to, in a measured way, being able to fund these. And I go back to having to work with Jay Thompson during the pandemic. It was a good thing that we had the caravan fund that we did so that we could make sure that when we canceled caravans during the pandemic, everybody received a full refund. And that's why we have reserves like this for unanticipated events. And so I very much support the proposal.
All right, thank you, John. Then I see Sean and Artie, Jenny, and Jim.
The only thing that I would add to what Christine just said is we're proposing funding this on a quarterly basis, kind of like the concept of, we pay ourselves first. Same thing. Hopefully this allows it to be a manageable bite by funding it each quarter and it'll go into a separate account.
Thanks for that clarification, Sean. Artie, and then Jenny.
I guess maybe some of my theories about this may be too soon, but thinking forward, $750,000 is a lot of reserve, and I agree with the amount, and I agree in principle. My concern is that I wouldn't want to have to raise prices in order to put significant amounts of money into the reserve. And do we have an estimate of how much time we're going to give ourselves to raise that much money for reserve? That's all I have.
Okay, just hold for a second, Jenny. Christine, do you want to address Artie's question about the time to ramp up to the reserves?
We have talked about 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
So this is not something we want to force into submission over 1 or 2 years. It just simply can't be done. And frankly, we got here over time and we need to get back over time. I mean, it's just the way it needs to be done. And I think we can have different opinions about how long it should take, but we're looking for it to take quite a while.
Okay, and I that's what I was thinking in the back of my mind, that this is something that's going to be ongoing. And then we could possibly have unforeseen circumstances where we would have to spend some of the reserve while we're raising it. So
That will particularly happen with the technology, and none of us should be afraid of that because we're going to be depositing money into that technology reserve, and then we're going to need to withdraw it because there's going to be a new update that's required, or the mobile app is going to be needed. So it's going to be a fluid situation.
okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I
Thanks,
support.
Christine. Thanks, Artie. Jenny and then Jim.
Well, kind of leading right exactly what you're talking about now. So we're talking about funding this to bring it to this level. In the wording, are you also indicating that we must sustain it? Because once we bring it to the 750 with inflation or whatever, that number may change. But do you have in place in your motion that it's to raise it and sustain it? That's all.
I think that as a group, we envision that we would constantly be striving to get to the 750. But as I said before, there's going to be things that happen, particularly in the infrastructure and technology environment, where it'll dip down and then we'll have a goal to meet it again. So I think sustaining it is unrealistic because there'll just be times where we've got to bite a big chunk of money off for particularly technology.
Thanks. I think we have time for a few more questions or clarifications. Jim, and then Artie, and then Sean again.
All right, thank you. First, we've always maintained a reserve. This codifies it, and it also creates these three separate categories. This is very important, I think, and I love what the Finance Committee has done in building to this point. The second point, and then I'll get out of the way, is Alan and Christine have talked a lot about we're not just reacting. This is not a revolutionary approach to fix things. This is an evolutionary approach. That's why we're willing to take the long game. Thanks, Christine, for representing this today. Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Artie, and then Sean.
Moving forward, will we be able to somehow take significant portions of the reserve, say like $250,000 or half of what we have in reserve, and invest it in short-term CDs or anything like that to assist bringing more money into it?
I would envision that anytime we have significant monies put aside for things like reserve, we would be wanting to use investment strategies that would give us the maximum return given the liquidity that we need. And, you know, as we all know, return and liquidity kind of go hand in hand. And so we would, and I'm sure Alan will be doing this, working with Lori to make sure we understand when that we think that liquidity will be needed, and then getting the best rate we can.
I completely support. Thank you.
Okay, Sean?
Just quickly, Jenny, to your comment, the motion does talk about review and adjustments, that the annual contribution goals will be reviewed and adjusted periodically to ensure they remain aligned with WBCCI goals and objectives.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks all. So wrapping it back to you guys, we've heard the motion, we've heard the commentary. So without objection, motion number 10.1 or 2024.11 RAB financial reserves passes. So without objection, do I have any objections? All right, so passed. And thank you guys. Again, this is another checkbox on our strategic direction. You know, our goal in Jackson Center was to identify the 5 or 6 things that were really critical for our club to focus on, and financial stability and literacy was one of them. So I'm just so impressed with the Finance Committee now. You guys did a fantastic job in such a short time frame. Thank you so very much. Alrighty, we're going to shift now to item 10.2, which is a resolution for next steps for our building 803 East Pike. Jenny Stetler.
Would you like me to read the entire resolution? It's kind of long.
I will leave it to your discretion on what part to read. So we publish these ahead of time, almost 3 weeks for the board members, 2 weeks for current members. So I think you can shorten it. So
I'd like to summarize it. It's just a lot of words to say kind of a simple thing. You know that working on 707 is part one of a three-tiered experience where we're working to create the new headquarters, which will leave the current headquarters vacant. That's at 803 East Pike. So we'll say, okay, well, we still own this asset. What are we going to do with it? Well, we looked at 3 different approaches. One is selling the property. What's it worth? Number 2 is what about leasing it? And number 3 is what about developing it? So when we looked at, and this was based on comparable values of properties right in the adjacent area, the value of that property, shockingly, because of where it's located in America, is not very much. It values between only $85,000 to $210,000. So netting that small amount in the attempt to perhaps pay down the mortgage on the new headquarters building, we give up a substantial asset to do that. And that and we feel it might be a very short-sighted perspective. Leasing it, it might have some lease opportunities, but frankly, I think we need it. So that brings us to the third option of developing the property. Developing the property could obtain significant use for our club, and predominantly we see it as 2 functions. One would be half the building used as an historical center for our club, and the other half used for members' use for our club. For example, someone camping, wanting to have a little office space, wanting to take a shower, wanting to use a washer dryer, those kind of things. So what we're looking to do is to get from our IBT the thumbs up that yes, we feel strongly that we have some good use planned and opportunities available by developing 803 into the historical center and the member clubhouse. Presently, there are 3 hookup sites that are in the back parking lot. What we'd like to do is expand that from between 5 to 10. We aren't sure yet what that number will be. How will this be funded? Unlike where we have the money dedicated to do the renovations of 707, the current headquarters, we don't have funds available for this project. What we would like to do is start a capital campaign and not use any member dues at all, but instead donations, mostly member-centric, and develop a budget and come up with a game plan on utilizing the facility that we do have and expanding a little bit more of our parking. We had talked about a 3rd phase of developing an RV park, but we're not there. We need to find out, would it be available as a structure for 20, 30, 40? We don't know. We did our feasibility study, which showed, yes, it's feasible, but as they say, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So we will take a look at that after we get up and rolling and find out how much do people request getting to camp here. So we're looking at basically the second tier of what we hope is a 3-tier program. And the second tier is developing the building into the clubhouse and the historical center. There is a little bit of interest in developing into a charitable aspect to this. The clubhouse and the member clubhouse probably won't fall into that category. However, the historical center, which also will have some educational component, does. So after speaking with the attorneys, Lori and Eric have both come up with a potential idea of 3 separate organizations within the umbrella of Airstream Club International that manage and handle these things under the current laws to meet the recommendations for each category. So what I'd like to do, I would like to propose a resolution that we develop the building of 803 East Pike, which is our current headquarters, into 2 parts. One is an historical center with educational opportunities, and the other is a member clubhouse. And that we expand the 3 existing RV sites to between 5 to 10 based on our capital campaign. How much money can we raise and use it to the best of our ability? I'm very hopeful, IBT, that you understand how strongly we have guarded our assets through 707. through looking at how can we do this the best way, high quality for the least cost. And that's pretty much the same scenario I'd like to address in 803. So there's my resolution.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. So first we need a second, and please say your name, and if we second the resolution as written in the minutes, starting on page 52, I believe, there's 7 elements to the resolution. Again, it's like 2 pages of reading. If you have any questions about it, we can discuss that in discussion. So I need a second, and then we'll go into discussion.
Kathy Geese, second.
Okay, recognize Kathy Geese second. Okay, discussion, and I see Stephen Parr first.
Yeah, Eric, that was a great presentation. Thank you for that. But I do have one question. I'm looking at the comps, and are these all comps from Jackson Center?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, from Shelby County, that's where Jackson Center is located.
Okay, but are any of these, other than the 707 building, Jackson Center? In other words, if we got comps from another property in Jackson Center?
Yes.
Because codes are different.
If you look, I believe in Alan's report,
Yeah, page 49 show the exact comps where they came from.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, was that it? Okay.
Yes, that was all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, Christine Baum.
I just wanted to ask if there are any preservation societies that are also going to be looked at. What I mean by that is Richmond has a very strong preservation society presence that sometimes funds projects, and particularly thinking that it's a rather iconic looking building, roof will need work. Is the committee going to reach out and check if there are any willing to?
You know, Christine, I absolutely love that idea. I love it. I did not even think about that.
Well, hang on a second, Jenny. I did hang on a second. I did chat briefly with Lori Tilton on this when I passed Christine Baum. I passed that on to Lori. Lori, I think you indicated that probably not, but and the reason maybe you can share your comments, but we are going to look into it.
Yeah, probably not just because of the area we're in, but we will definitely look into it.
Building's not that old. I think that's what you shared.
The building was built in 1985, so there's more historical value to us than in the community. But we are definitely going to research that, as well as there's other, I know, grants and things here within the state of Ohio that promotes tourism. If we can bring people into the county and things of that nature, so all those avenues will definitely be open as we move forward on this project.
Okay, thank you. Artie.
Yes, I support the resolution, and this to me looks more short term, as we're talking about a 30 to 40 site campground over the past couple of years that we've been discussing this. But it appears, since it was really left out of the conversation of the resolution, that the campground idea is officially kind of maybe put back, maybe could be 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe never. Is that where we are now?
Yeah, Artie, it's actually in the so yeah, it's in the presentation, and the idea, as Jenny said, is that we're going to focus short term on the historical and the 5 to 10 spots. That's what is in front of the board. But we even talk about this a bit in Jackson Center, right? Start with the Caravel, go to a classic later, and we'll evaluate use of the property. We'll evaluate sort of leasing rates, lending rates, construction rates, and maybe in a few years we'll have a better idea of whether this gets brought back to the board again after some experience of having our people camp in Jackson Center, whether we want to expand it or not, and updated financials.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Barton.
Yes, I have some questions about the structural integrity of the building. I know in the past we've talked about some significant roof structural problems, electrical concerns, and so on. And we've often talked about potentially taking it down and putting up a new building in its place. How has that been resolved, or how are we looking at that at this time?
I'm going to, well, Jim, your hand is up first, Jim Cock. And Jim is very familiar. He's one of our construction guys out there. So go ahead, Jim.
Okay, thank you. First on the roof leak, the leaking that we have in the ceiling tiles in here, which I replaced the ceiling tile right above where I'm sitting, which was the worst one, months ago, back before the tornadoes came through here. It has not leaked since. We've not had real high humidity here since then, but right now our presumption is it's not the roof leaking, it's condensation from gaps in the duct insulation, which many of us have seen in our homes and in businesses. Cold air duct, leak, condensation, they stain ceiling tiles. The roof is a standing metal seam roof. They are not prone to leaking. I will get up and I'll do a physical inspection on the roof, but it's not something that we're going to have to tear off. I'll report back to you on that. On the electrical question, the electrical issues have to do primarily with this being an older building. We didn't have strong electrical distribution for the amount of electricity that we use at workstations now. These Herman Miller style steel panels that surround the cubicles were wired with a few 15 amp receptacles, not enough for what we use nowadays. The building itself has good electrical service. It's just the distribution of it where these weren't designed offices. So something we'll be able to fix easily in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. And as Jim said, the roof, we don't know yet. It could also be that we have to do some repair to it. It's unclear at this point. All right. Any other discussion about 803? All right. So without objection, the resolution of use of 803 is approved. Any objections? Okay, seeing none, that is approved. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take a 7-minute comfort break, and we'll restart at 7 minutes after the hour. Okay?
Yes, dear.
Wait a minute. I want to make sure you did.
It looks like this meeting is going
Okay, everybody, we're going to start in 2 minutes.
Eric, did you get my text about timing these discussions?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I'm okay so far. Thank you. By the way, we're going to just restart. I don't think it's necessary to do another roll call, but if you could just keep an eye out and notate when people came and entered the room, if we had some missing people, please.
Will do.
Thanks.
And Terry, did you note that Rick Everson, Rick, is here, Region 8 president?
Oh, I did not. Thank you for letting me know. Hi, Rick.
Hi, thanks, guys. I'm here. I was a couple minutes late. Sorry.
No worries.
I forget what time zone I'm in.
Don't we all?
Hey, Rick. Yeah, Kathy, for the minutes, Rick was there pretty much at the very start. So I think you can put him down as maybe 5 minutes after. Does that sound about right, Rick? Because I saw you jump on pretty early on.
Yeah, my first vice president alerted me and said, "Where are you?"
Thank you. All righty, we're going to reconvene. You know something, Terry? I take it back. Let's do a roll call since we're reconvening, please. We have some important items that I want to make sure that we get on the record on who's present. So roll call, please.
Okay, here we go. You're here, Eric. Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
EC member John Becker.
Present.
EC member Jim Cock. Is Jim back?
He's here. He'll be here in a minute.
Okay. EC member Kathy Giese.
Present.
EC member Marcia House.
Present.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Present.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Present.
Kendall's here.
Present. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thanks.
I'm here.
Thank you. Region 1, President Bard Fuller.
Present.
Region 2, Patty Galupo. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, Terry, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Region 3, President Christine Baum. Is Christine with us? Yes, no? Not yet? I don't see her. I'm going to make her absent for now. Region 4, President Fred Keel.
Present.
If anybody sees Christine, please let me know.
Terry, I think she got logged off, but we're promoting her again, so she should be here momentarily. There she is. She's coming online.
Thank you so much. Region 5, President Artie Martin.
Present.
Region 6, President Jan Hevener.
Present.
Region 7, Chris Olson for Ginger Slattery.
Present.
Region 8, President Rick Everson.
Present.
Region 9, President Nancy Fitzgerald.
Present.
Region 10, President Florence Tremoni.
Present.
Region 11, President Stephen Parr.
Present.
Region 12, President Sean Bloom.
Present.
Parliamentarian Laura Grassi.
Here.
Executive Director Lori Tilton.
Present.
We're all here, Eric.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, next we're going to go to some motions that came out of the special committee. And if you remember last year, in sort of August, we had a number of issues that we felt were very important to look at regarding the election process, how we select and how we discuss candidates, some qualification on terms, and Region 3 President Christine Baum and Region 10 Presidents Florence Tremoni agreed to lead a special committee to look into these. And these are the first of a number of motions coming out of that special committee. So I'm going to hand it over to, I believe you, Florence, are doing the first one, 2024.12, Executive Council election process, electioneering.
Yes.
All right, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I'll just say ahead of reading the first motion, of making the first motion for clarity, the first one is a change in bylaws on the election process and electioneering. The second one is the sister motion on policy for those same action items.
We're going to do them separately, as I understand it.
Absolutely. Going to do them separately, but just so people aren't confused that they look very similar.
All right. Thank you.
So 2024-12, I move that bylaws Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 3 be amended by adding a new subsection 1, running for office and electioneering, and renumber the current subsection 1 to 3. And further, by adding to language to the new subsection 3 to remove the ambiguity in filling EC vacancies by adding a new subsection B, filling multiple EC vacancies, and relettering the remaining subsections as stated in Exhibit 1.
Thanks, Florence. This comes from a special committee, so no second is required. Please read purpose, impact, background, etc.
The purpose of this motion is to clarify appropriate electioneering activities allowed during elections for the Executive Council. In the past, electioneering had no boundaries. Regions and clubs had no direction regarding what, if anything, they could do to educate members about candidates or support candidates in a fair manner. This motion describes specific activities that regions and clubs may engage in on behalf of all candidates, including publishing articles in club publications. This motion also clarifies how vacancies are filled when there is an opening on the EC. The motion clarifies the method of filling vacancies by going to the next highest vote getter of the most recent election of EC candidates. A companion motion will amend policy to provide guidelines for proper electioneering activities by candidates, club officers, and appointees. Do you want me to quickly read the background on this?
Yeah, please do background and financial impact.
The Blue Book sections regarding vacancies that arise during the term of EC members utilize unclear language about who should be approached next to fill the post. To remove the ambiguity, the order starts with the highest vote getter from the most recent EC election and moves on to the next highest vote getter, and so on. In the past, clubs and regions have had no guidance as to how to educate members on candidates for the EC. In the most recent election, there were 30 candidates, which caused members to be overwhelmed, possibly disengaging, if they were not familiar with the people running for office. Some regions took actions that others challenged and felt were unfair, and this motion is to clarify what activities headquarters will manage for all candidates and what regions and clubs can do to educate members about candidates in a fair manner. There is no financial impact to the club for this motion.
Thank you. Before we go into discussion, I see Parliamentarian Grassi.
Yeah, Mr. President, I believe that a motion from a standing committee does not need a second, but a motion from a special committee does, unless there's a rule I don't know about.
Okay, for safety's sake, do I have a second on the motion? Name, please.
Jim Cock, second.
All right, Jim Cock, second. Thank you. All right, questions from the board. By the way, I'm starting at 15-minute clock on this one. All right, for discussion, and we'll see where we are after 15 minutes. John Becker.
Yeah, I know for these motions, we're supposed to get to the motion maker earlier. I've thought about this over a couple of weeks. As many people are fond of saying, we have a camping side of the club, we have a business side of the club, and we have a current business leadership that's on this call. And what we're saying is that when we're looking at who the future business leadership of the club should be, that nobody who's a current business leader should express an opinion. And is that what this motion is really saying? I just wanted to clarify that. And I have thought about it over the past couple of weeks and reread it more than once. And so that's really my question. Is that what we're asking people to do or not to do?
Before you respond, let me see if there are any other questions. We can kind of get them all in a bunch. Any other questions on this topic? And then we'll kind of address them all. Kathy?
Yes. I had some concerns about some of this language. First off, I want to thank this committee who has put in many, many, many hours on this. My concern is it's overly broad, could be conceived by members as a lack of transparency for the very reasons that John Becker just mentioned. And I would like to move to amend motion 24-12 titled Executive Council Election Process Electioneering.
Okay, let's hold that just for a second, if you wouldn't mind. I want to capture all the questions and we'll let Florence respond back to John and then to other people as well. Any other questions or comments before we get into any potential amendments or voting?
Eric, just so you know, Christine looked like we're trying to get Christine moved back up to a panelist. So I don't know if she had a question or if her hand was just raised as we're trying to move her.
I see her name listed as a panelist.
Yeah, we just promoted her again.
Okay, so any other comments or questions? Okay, Florence, so why don't you talk to what John had asked about and see to the extent you wish to address what Kathy has brought up?
Yeah, you know, this was maybe one of the toughest things that we took on in all the different policies that I hope to resolve. What we started with really was defining what we meant by electioneering, and we never had any direction in this club. Well, we never really had elections either. But our goal was how can we make it so that the electorate can have an active part in our elections? And we had to find a middle ground between leadership being able to promote or encourage certain candidates over others, which is what we don't want. And on the other end, having a sense that, oh, well, we're hamstrung, we can't say anything. So we had to find a place in the middle. And I think that it's important not to I know the language is critical, but what we say from the podium of our position as a region president, as an EC officer, is different from what we say at a rally as what I might say as Florence to rally goer Jeanette. And she's asking me, oh, have you ever worked with this candidate? And I can say, I have worked with this candidate and I've experienced this or that. They're timely, they respond well, they work well with others. I can do that. What we were trying to avoid was using the podium of leadership to make either character comments or I hope, John, that this I'm not just waffling, but this is where we were trying to separate the two.
Do you want to address the comment by Kathy Giese? And we have a couple more comments that are starting to roll in. How do you want to handle it, Florence?
Well, I think Kathy's comments are related to her amendment. So I'm not sure what the correct procedure is to let that proceed and then discuss the amendment. That might be.
Yeah, so I will leave room for the amendment. Don't worry, Kathy. I want to get some questions and comments on the base proposal first, and then we'll ask for amendments and blah, blah, blah. We'll go through that process. So, all right, I see Lily, then Terry, and then Kathy, and then Artie.
Okay, well, let me just address real quickly one of Kathy's comments. What we, as the committee, what we were concerned about was the when we are speaking as leadership members, that it may seem that we are endorsing single candidates over others. And these elections, it's so important to engage voters and to make sure they understand who these people are, tell them how to get to their videos. But it just becomes complex when we start really talking about character issues. It's a tough thing. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, okay. So again, I'll go Millie, Terry, Kathy, Artie, Jenny.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Florence, and the team for all your work on this. I still have concerns. The way that I translate it as written and the way that you just explained is, if I'm at a region rally, for example, and I take the podium to introduce new motions or new activities the EC is taking and just keep people up to date, I can't also in that position stand there and say, and I think Artie Martin is the best darn candidate for EC and I'm putting everything behind him. Can't do that because I'm standing there as a member of the board, correct? However, if I'm standing with Nancy and Kendall at the bar and Nancy says, what do you think of Artie? I can say, I think he's wonderful. I think he'd make a terrific addition to the board. Am I wrong? Because I don't want people thinking that this is a silencing of your opinion, which if it is, I'm all against it.
This is absolutely not about silencing opinions. This is about avoiding, trying to find a mechanism where we can avoid what appears to be an unfair, appears to some to be an unfair sponsorship of certain candidates over others. And we experienced this in the 2023 election. I don't think anything was done with any surreptitious or malicious intent. It was all done in the spirit of engaging the electorate. So what you just said, Millie, is accurate. We're just trying to avoid using the podium to say Artie is better than someone else. Now, we can use the podium to talk about all the candidates. That's okay.
Okay, I think my screen may have frozen or someone else's, don't know. But I'm going to recognize Terry next, and then Kathy and Artie.
I also have this concern, and Florence, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I know you've worked really hard on this. I think it's challenging to split this hair. I think it's challenging too when we're not talking about character, but about job performance. Those of us that are on the EC or some other body within the club can see other people's performance better than any member can. So if somebody's screwing up and not doing their job, then we are, in essence, we can't talk about that unless from, I think it's hard if you're not on the podium, but you're at the bar to distinguish between me as an EC member on the podium and me at the bar. I'm still an EC member. So I find that very challenging. And there are people, I will tell you right today, there are people who I would say, this is not an appropriate person to be on the EC. But if this passes, I'm not sure I can say that.
You know,
hey, let's again, we only have 5 minutes before we renew our 15-minute session. And I want to make sure we get all the comments in. And then we can talk about amendments, proposed amendments, and what next steps we have. Kathy, is this not related, but on the base motion?
Actually, I'm going to let Artie make his comment because I think my amendment
Artie,
will address these issues.
Okay, Artie, and then Jenny.
Thank you, Eric. Okay. I've heard a lot of terms that I like. I've heard splitting terms, splitting hairs. I sit here and if we can solve this, then we could probably solve electioneering in the country. Because I don't know of anybody who can go out anywhere and not talk politics with a friend right now. There were a lot of folks that called me during our Region 5 election, and they didn't know who these people were that were running, and they asked me my opinion. Well, as a friend and people that I've known and camped with for the past 15 years, I shared who we support. Right or wrong, I'll admit to it. And the reason is I'm not making the decision for them. I'm just telling them who I support. I think the real issue we have here is defining what is talking from the podium and what is talking with camping friends. So I mean, a lot of these people don't know the people that are running. We do. We know these people. We've worked with them. And there are people out there that are not qualified to do this work. They may be intelligent, they may be your best friend, but they're just not. They wouldn't perform well, like somebody else said. So, I'm throwing this up in the air and see what we can do as a body today. That why don't we define when we are on the podium? I'm not going to recommend somebody vote for somebody when I'm in charge of a region rally, no, or at a region meeting, no. But if somebody comes up and talks to me, how am I not going to respond? And that's where I come from. I'm a very, very social guy. I love talking about the club.
Thanks. Thanks, Artie.
I'm done.
All right, Ginny and then Stephen.
I can only agree with what has been said. I think it's too broad of a stroke. This is sweeping too large of a paintbrush across a very, very specific issue. I'm concerned because we have in place a grievance process. If somebody feels that they were unfairly treated, they should take it through that. What concerns me is even the positive is being squashed down a bit. Not just that somebody's not qualified, but who is really qualified. So I really feel that this is, I love the spirit and the intent, but there's no division between Jenny, EC member, and Jenny, your friend. There's none. I'm your friend all the way through all of it. And I'm also an EC member through all of it.
Thanks, Jenny. Stephen?
You're muted.
Regardless of whether we're standing in front of the podium or we're off drinking with our buddies, we're still the region officer. And if my region, say, has 2,500 members, and offline I say, no, I would never vote for this person or that person. You got to vote for this person because I think they're the best candidate. I could sway the election. In Region 11, what we did during the last election, when someone asked me, I referred them to the YouTube videos and I said, look at all the candidates. They're great. You need to make your own determination who's the best candidate by listening to what they're telling you. But please do not vote on something that I tell you, because I could have a prejudice against that person, and that's not fair to the person or the other members who are on the ballot. And that's all I need to say. Thank you.
And you know what, I will say that should this fail today, we're open to say that, well, we can endorse a single candidate over another as region presidents. This is, we are trying to make this fair.
Okay, my gut feeling is that we're not going to resolve this today. That said, I want to make sure that I get on any other comments from the other people on the board, especially region presidents, on sort of how we should continue to look at this when it gets brought back again or amended. So any other comments from region presidents first that haven't spoken today?
We need to hear the amendment, Eric.
Understood, Jim, but I'm first asking if there are any other comments from region presidents on the base motion. So I recognize Nancy Fitzgerald. Muted, Nancy.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, it seemed very clear to me. And I can certainly understand that maybe we need some more discussion, but electioneering to me is exactly as they said. The podium, the body, the officer, the board does not support or advocate or send out ballots. I mean, I'm sorry, it seems clear to me. It's not ambiguous. And I think it's so important, the work that committee did. And yes, we probably need to discuss it some more, but I'm not seeing the ambiguity. Sorry.
Okay, other region presidents that have not yet expressed any thoughts on guidance on this? Okay, so we have a fork in the road now. We have a couple of options. One is that Florence, the motion maker, can pull it for later discussion, or we can go to a vote, which would probably first involve an amendment proposal. So option to you first, Florence. What's your preference on next steps?
I am not willing to pull this at this time. And a text from Christine saying that she can hear us, but she cannot respond. We are not hearing her.
Okay, so we're going to continue. So at this point, Kathy may recognize you, and I believe you had an amendment. And the way this works, just to remind us all, is that if there's an amendment from the floor, then we immediately step to the amendment language. We need to get a second for the amendment. This is for the amendment. And then we'd actually have to vote on the amendment. If the amendment passes, then that is it. That is, we're done completely. If the amendment does not pass, then we go back to the original motion. Does that kind of make sense?
No, that's not correct.
If that's not correct, if the amendment passes, then you still have to vote on the main motion as amended.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah. Agree. Okay. Right. Yes. Because that is the motion. That's what I was trying to say. The original one dies and we vote on the one as is. Okay, Jim, I got a parliamentarian perspective on this. Jim, do you have anything else you wanted to add? Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Kathy, and then your next steps and your comments for today.
He's up now. Already, just hang on.
I'm sorry, I heard some chatter in the background there. I hope that this addresses everything that's been discussed today. I move to amend motion 2024-12 titled Executive Council Election Process Electioneering by striking the sentence, while in their leadership capacity, WBCCI leaders shall remain impartial and support all candidate applications for offices, and replace it with, it is the responsibility of the WBCCI board to encourage candidates for the executive council. It is also the responsibility of the board to review all applications and share opinion of working relationships with candidates where there is direct experience that can be shared with other club members who inquire. Disparaging any candidate for any office is subject to the WBCCI Code of Ethics and is not allowed. Members in leadership have both the right and the responsibility to assist members in the election process by responding transparently to members who have questions about candidates regarding their volunteer experience, skill set, and ability to work in a team structure.
Okay, Kathy, if you have not, can you send that language to later, if you wish, to recording secretary and parliamentarian? Okay, do we have a second for that proposed amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Jenny.
Jenny
Schnepper.
Schnapp.
Okay, so now for the board, without objection, the amendment as proposed passes. Is there objection to the amendment as proposed? And by the way, if there's no objection, it passes, then that is the motion, and we vote on the motion, we're done. So let's say it again. Is there an objection? Without objection, the motion as presented by EC member Giese passes. Any objections?
I object.
Okay, objection from Tremoni. Okay, roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, excuse me. The maker of the amendment that was seconded has an opportunity to speak on behalf of her amendment.
Okay.
I just want to address a couple of things. One was someone had made a comment about character. This amendment does not mention character in any way, shape, or form. It has, the language says you can verify their volunteer experience, their skill set, and their ability to work in a team structure. So I think that addresses a lot of those questions.
Okay, then I will say it again. So without objection, this passes. Do we still have an objection?
So there can be no more discussion.
Is there any other discussion on that, on the amendment?
Eric, this is Artie.
Artie,
is it possible? I would love to hear Kathy read this amendment again. I would love she read it so perfectly well. I want to hear it again, please.
Oh, Artie, thank you. And
Kathy,
Mr. President,
Kathy, please read it again.
Okay, I move to amend motion 2024-12 titled Executive Council Election Process Electioneering by striking the sentence, while in their leadership capacity, WBCCI leaders shall remain impartial and support all candidate applications for offices, and replacing it with, it is the responsibility of the WBCCI board to encourage candidates for the Executive Council. It is also the responsibility of the board to review all applications and share opinion of working relationships with candidates where there is direct experience that can be shared with other club members who inquire. Disparaging any candidate for any office is subject to the WBCCI Code of Ethics and is not allowed. Members in leadership have both the right and the responsibility to assist members in the election process by responding transparently to members who have questions about candidates regarding their volunteer experience, skill set, and ability to work in a team structure.
Thank you.
Mr. President, the script is sent to you and Lori Tilton if you want to project it on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other comments or discussion now on the amendment language? I recognize Terry Warren and then Florence Tremoni and then Nancy Fitzgerald.
I guess I would like to know, maybe this isn't the right structure to do it, but Florence, what is your objection to Kathy's amendment?
Am I muted? No.
No.
I read this as I can take down a candidate. I am now given the ability to say, this person never showed up on time, always canceled. I can take down a candidate all by myself. And I don't know if I should have the power to do that.
Okay. Terry, did that address your question for Florence?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Nancy Fitzgerald, and then Jim.
I see so many opportunities for grievances that could arise from this, because I could say so many things and walk so many lines and still be over that line. I just see this as way, way too specific.
Thank you. Millie O'Donnell.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, I'm kind of with Nancy there. I think you're really trying to mute the voices of the board members. And I know that we should all be respectful to each other and respectful to the candidates and support all the candidates. But it gets a little specific, and to me, it could get pretty messy. So I don't agree with the amendment, although it's beautifully written.
Artie?
The second part of her amendment talks about transparency. And transparency is a big word in this. Meaning transparency means that you see through everything, and yet at the same time, the candidates are campaigning with other people, and there's transparency there. With the word transparency in the amendment, and we're still subject to the ethics of the WBCCI, I like the amendment.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendment? Christine Baum?
Can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry about all of this. We had a major outage here and everything just got lost and it's all back on. Anyway, I want to say that the object of this was that we should always be able to speak as individuals. What we were trying to not do is speak as leaders in terms of coloring any aspect of a person who might have decided they want to run. Basically, at the time of election, the EC pretty much does not exist because the old EC exists, but there's no guarantee that they're going to continue as the EC. That's why we wanted to make sure that always as a member, you are allowed to have a voice, but particularly if you are serving in a leadership role, that you should remain impartial. Always you can talk as a person by taking off that hat and saying that. So I just think it is very important that we felt like we were not silencing members, but what we wanted to make sure is that no one was putting their hand on the scale by saying this is what we observed with them when we were in a leadership role. I must say, folks, people can act differently with different people. So I think it's important that we view it strictly as a member versus a leader. And I'm
Thank
so
you,
sorry
Christine.
about all of
Christine,
that.
I think, thank you, Christine. I think your comments were directed to the original motion, not the amendment. Is that accurate, or did I get that wrong?
My comments were directed to the original motion, why we
Okay.
presented it the way it did. I'm sorry, Eric, I've lost
That's
so
no
much.
problem. No problem. Just clarity. And so any other comments on the amendment for proposed amendment language? Florence.
I have one last comment. Well, it's probably not the last one, but on the amended language, we have to also, I recognize that in this language, not only could I take down a candidate, but I could also promote a candidate, and we're getting right back into the good old boy situation. I can get in cahoots maybe with other leaders, and we can make sure that, you know, people stay in, that others perhaps should be heard.
Okay, so we're going to bring this amendment to a vote. Kathy, any last things? Because otherwise I think we'll be going for another couple of hours.
Yeah, and I'll make it very short. Ability to take down a candidate is very clearly covered by our WBCCI Code of Ethics, and it is not allowed. There is a grievance process if someone should do that. We also are very clear in this about the type of things that you can confirm. And so I don't really see that conflict of taking down a candidate.
Okay, thank you. So we have an amendment proposed. It's been seconded. We've had discussions on it. So without objection, the amendment passes. Is there objection to the amendment passing after the discussion?
Yes.
Okay, so roll call, please.
Hey, who objected? I'm sorry, you didn't say your name.
Yes, Christine Bale.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Do a roll call, and remember, if the board passes it now, then this is what we will vote. The original one is dead, at least temporarily, and this is what we will continue on for final vote on. If the board rejects it, then we'll go back to the original one. Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Nay.
Sorry.
Yes.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
No.
EC member Kathy Giese.
Yes.
Region 7 Vice President Chris Olson.
No.
Region 1 President Bart Fuller.
No.
EC member John Becker.
No.
Region 5 President Artie Martin.
Yes.
Region 2, I'm sorry, Region 2 is Patty Galupo.
Yes.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
Region 9 President Nancy Fitzgerald.
No.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
No.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
No.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
No. There
EC
it
member,
goes.
sorry?
Just mute your mics, please, if you have commentary. All right, keep going.
EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
Region 11 President Stephen Parr.
No.
Region 3 President Christine Baum.
No.
I vote yes. Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
No.
EC Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
No.
EC member Marcia Howes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 no. The amendment fails.
Okay, thank you. So now we go back to the original motion, no amendments. And so without objection, the original motion as proposed by Tremoni passes. Is there an objection? All right, I see objection first from John Becker. All right, let's go into this 80. Well, sure. I want to make sure we all have a chance to talk. So any additional comments before we vote on the original motion as is in the book?
I would just like to say that this isn't an easy issue, and thank you for the people who pulled this together. But I just personally find it very hard as an EC member and a caravan leader and past caravan committee chair to separate me as an individual from the leadership positions I've had in the club. I just think it's impossible. And before the last election, people asked me, John, who would you like to work with? And I could tell them, hey, here's who I've worked with before, but there were a lot of people running who I didn't know. And I just think it's very hard for someone to ask me my opinion and to separate that out and to say, well, just as a club member, here's what I think.
Okay, we're about to go into roll call. Kathy, I see your hand, but you've had some chances to speak. Any other region president or EC member willing to speak on the original motion before we go into roll call vote? Okay, roll call, please.
All right, Region 3, Christine Baum.
Yes.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
No.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
No.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
Region 7 Representative Chris Olson.
Yes.
EC member Marcia House.
No.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Yes.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Yes.
Region 9 President Nancy Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Region 11 President Stephen Parr.
Yes.
Region 2 Patty Gallupo.
Yes.
Region 5 Artie Martin. Region 5 President Artie Martin. Artie, you're muted. There you go.
No.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Yes.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
Yes.
I am voting yes. Region 1 President Bard Fuller.
Yes.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Yes.
EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
EC member John Becker.
No.
EC member Kathy Giese.
No.
The original motion passes. 6 no's, the rest yes. So the motion passes.
All right, thank you. And normally I might advocate for more discussion, but frankly, the special committee has put a ton of hours into this. They work collaboratively with other people. We're working on this for 8 or 9 months, so I don't think we're going to get any closer to at this point. And if so, we can look to revise it later by additional motion later in the year. All right, thank you for your work on that. Now let's go to your next one, Florence. Item 10.4, I'm sorry, item 10.3 is still 2024-17 motion.
Motion 2024-17, Executive Council election process, electioneering, and uses of the WBCCI directories. This motion aims, or should I read the motion first?
Please.
I move that policy 8.6.2 leadership candidacy process be amended by adding section A, which contains the current subsections A through L. Additionally, by adding a new section B, running for office and electioneering. I further move that policy 12.4.1 club publications section A be amended by combining subparts 7 and 8, by adding a new subsection 8, declaring that the WBCCI directories are the properties of BCCI and adding robust terms and conditions as stated in Exhibit 1.
Thank you. Hold tight. Now, do we have a second, please, from the board? Name, please, when you second.
I'll second. Millie O'Donnell.
All right, thank you. All right, purpose impact.
The purpose of this motion is to clarify appropriate electioneering activities allowed during elections for the EC, Executive Council. In the past, electioneering had no boundaries. Regions and clubs had no direction regarding what, if anything, they could do to educate members about candidates or support candidates in a fair manner. This motion describes specific activities that regions and clubs may engage in on behalf of all candidates, including publishing articles in club publications. Finally, this motion clarifies the use of the WBCCI member directory and makes clear that all member information not to be shared with non-members of WBCCI in any form, and outdated directories, printed or electronic, must be destroyed. The impact of this motion adds more robust terms and conditions for using a WBCCI directory or roster, and states in no uncertain terms that the misuse of members' information is a serious and grievable offense. It aims to provide guidelines for proper electioneering activities by candidates, club officers, and appointees. Background. In the past, clubs and regions have had no guidance as to how to educate members on candidates for the EC. In the most recent election, there were 30 candidates, which caused members to be overwhelmed, possibly disengaging if they were not familiar with the people running for office. Some regions took actions that others challenged and felt were unfair. And this motion is to clarify what activities headquarters will manage for all candidates and what regions and clubs can do to educate members about candidates in a fair manner. The WBCCI member directory is a valuable asset of the club. This document has been found to be for sale on websites, and members have been seen making member details available through social media. This amendment reminds all members to be mindful of the sensitivity of this information and dispose of any printed or electronic directories that are no longer needed. This motion will assist in a stronger disclaimer to members using the directory, clarifying that improper use of the WBCCI directory could lead to disciplinary action through the grievance process, up to and including expulsion from membership. There is no financial impact to this motion.
Thanks, Florence. Any discussion on the motion from the board or from the board? Okay, no discussion. So without objection, the motion passes as written. Do I have an objection to as written? All right. Well, that was fast. All right. So thank you. Congratulations. The motion passes. Again, Florence, thank to your team. Again, I know they spent a ridiculous amount of hours, which is just fantastic. Roughing through all the things, and there's no easy answer, but thank you for that. And I know a couple of regions also jumped in with some of their comments to help make this better. And that is the process that we always strive to use. So thank you for doing that as well.
Thank you. And I will say that if necessary, we can revisit the previous 2024-12 in August if I don't know that all the comments were made that wanted to be made.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to item 10.4, and I know that Joe Poplinski is traveling right now. He's leading the Around the World Caravan and getting that going, the reenactment. So I believe that Brad Briggs is going to speak on his behalf, introduce the motion. Brad, there you are.
Hello, everyone. Would you like me to read the motion?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Motion item number 2024-13. Reserve a range of 3-digit numbers for the executive council members to select and enable the international parliamentarian to select a 3-digit number. I move that WBCCI policy 16.6.10 part A be amended to define a big red number and amend WBCCI policy 16.6.10 airstream numbers part D by adding a subpart C to part 2, removing international secretary and treasurer from subparts A and B and deleting subparts C and D in part 3, adding a new part 4, reserving the 400 series for international officers other than the international president and executive council members, and renumbering the remaining parts of section D. Adding subparts A and B to the original part 5, enabling the international parliamentarian to select a 700 series number, adding subparts A and B to the original part C to revert qualifications for national caravan leaders as it was before July 24, 2021. Adding subparts A and B to the original part 7 to more clearly define the qualifications for national event rally hosts as stated in Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Brad. No second is required. This comes from the Historical Standing Committee. I know there's a motion coming up in a bit. Let me ask, though, that I believe the motion is still consistent with the purpose, impact, and background. So let me ask Brad that you read the purpose, impact, and background. And then I think Marcia has an amendment to the language she's going to propose before we discuss. All right, Brad, on to you.
Just as a side note from the CBL chair, this is kind of showing what we plan to do, the committee plans to do as we get down the road. When we have a motion like this, we plan on cleaning up the language and getting the language in a more consistent manner. And we've done this in this particular motion. So the purpose of this motion, the primary purpose of this motion is to reserve the policy to allow executive council members and the international parliamentarian to be assigned a 3-digit BRN if desired. To ensure consistency, the parts have been edited using uniform language, including a uniform process of number selection. There is no impact as a result of this amendment. Background: the Historical Committee was approached by the Constitution and Bylaws Committee to co-draft this motion. Since the 1970s, members in international leadership positions within WBCCI have been eligible for 3-digit BRNs. The members of recently created Executive Council deserve such recognition as does an international parliamentarian. The use of 400 series numbers for the EC members was selected because this range is already defined for International Recording Secretary and International Treasurer, both of whom are members of the EC. To use a 700 series for the parliamentarian was selected because the parliamentarian is a appointed position like the standing committee chairs who are already eligible for 700 series numbers. During the drafting of this motion, several other minor issues were discovered within existing policy, and additional minor changes were made to address these issues to make the overall language and subsection numbering more consistent. There is no financial impact to WBCCI.
Thanks, Brad. I know that you worked with Marcia and others on amendment. Can you just introduce that so that we don't have to go through the whole amendment voting again? So however he wants to do that, go ahead.
Marcia is ready to include a motion or amendment to this motion.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Yep, thank you, Brad. So as the rep for the caravan, we noticed, or Ray noticed, that the wording was missing a little bit, and that is the validation of the committee chair, just to double check that the person asking for the number is appropriate. So I move to amend motion 2024-13, titled Reserve a Range of 3-digit numbers for Executive Council members to select and enable the initial international parliamentarian to select a 3-digit number by 1. WBCC Policy 16.6.10, Section D, Item 6, Subitem A, changing the word hitting to reaching so that it reads as following. The parliamentarian and each standing committee chair, upon reaching the service milestone defined below, may select an available Airstream number in the 700 series if desired. And then the second part, WBCCI Policy 16.6.10, Section D, Item 7, Sub 8, Item A, by adding the phrase or co-led, in quotes, and the phrase as verified by the Caravan Standing Committee Chair, end quote. So it reads as follows. Caravan leaders who have led or co-led a minimum of 5 national caravans as verified by the Caravan Standing Committee Chair may select an available Airstream number from the 800 series if desired. That was a lot of words, but thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Marcia. You can please confirm that the motion maker, the original motion maker, Joe Poplinski, approves this change to his motion.
He did.
Yes,
Okay.
This was done together collaboratively.
Okay, so now we'll have comments on the motion as amended by the motion introducing person introducing the motion. Ginny and then John.
Oh, my comment was just a question. We've changed the title from Treasurer to International Finance Director. Is this included in the 400 series?
So yes, they would be included in the 400, but we have not changed it. That's a constitutional amendment, which has not been
Oh,
decided yet. But
okay,
the going forward, that would be the understanding, yes.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. John?
Just quickly, just to speak in support of the amended language, that's basically the way I was operating when I was caravan committee chair. And no caravan leader gets credit until they get their financial paperwork submitted to the caravan committee treasurer, and that's the way I work. So I agree with the new language.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion as amended by the motion maker? All right, then. So without objection, the motion
Terry's
passed.
hand is up. Eric, Terry's hand is up.
Sorry, I missed seeing your Terry. Go ahead.
I just need to know, Marcia, if you would please send me that so that I can include it in the minutes.
Definitely, I'll have it headed your way.
Thank you, Marcia.
Do we have to have a second for the amendment?
No, it's by I'm gonna Jim. We could no, we don't. Not in this case. It
Okay,
was
thank you.
initiated by the originating person who is a standing committee chair, Joe Poblinski. All right. So without objection, the motion passes as written and amended by the motion maker, delivered by Marcia. Any objections? All right, it passes. All right, please convey my thanks to Mr. Poplinski, as always. A very detailed and very thorough body of work. So thank you all for doing that. Thank Brad for stepping in and presenting this and working on him. By the way, I think you all know this, but CBL is involved in pretty much all of our things that we work on. So Brad, thank you. Brad, I also did mention earlier to the board that you and I have spoken. There's a whole bunch of things that your group working with LRO is going to be working on, and that's going to be starting in June, I believe. Is that
That's
what
correct.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for taking those on. There's a bunch of stuff, and the group needs help. So reach out to Brad or to Jennifer Dice, LRO chair, on your willingness to get involved. I think it needs to have some people that are from the IBT involved in it, in addition to who's already on their committees. Okay, I'm going to do another 5-minute break just because every hour it looks like. So hopefully we'll do a 5-minute break and then we'll come back at 10 after. Yeah, 10 after. So 8 minutes break. And then we have 2 more items on the agenda. All right. Thank you.
Lori Tilton, are you there?
Terry, it's Lori Grassi. I just forwarded you the amendment language that was just adopted.
Thank you. I think I also need the amendment language from Kathy.
The first one,
Yeah,
I can send it.
thank you. I'm just not sure how to categorize Christine since she had that problem rejoining us. I don't know what to say about that.
I'm not sure. If Kathy's amendment wasn't adopted, though, do you still need it?
I'll just remember this is still being recorded, please. You may want to conduct those conversations offline
Okay.
and streamed. All right, we are going to restart again. Yeah, so just pop up back up on screen and let's do another roll call vote. If you could, Terry, please.
Absolutely. President McHenry.
Yep, present.
I'm just going to do names, okay? We all know our roles. Millie O'Donnell.
Still here.
I'm here. John Becker.
Present.
Jim Cock.
Present.
Kathy Giese.
Present.
Marcia House. Is Marcia with us? I see. Well, I'll wait and see if she comes back. Jenny Schnettler.
Here.
Kendall Felder.
Here.
Bard Fuller.
I'm here, present.
Gary, let's see, Patty Glupo.
Here.
Christine Baum.
Present.
Fred Keel.
Present.
Artie Martin.
Present.
Jan Hevener.
Present.
Chris Olson.
Present.
Rick Everson. Is Rick with us? Not at the moment. Nancy Fitzgerald.
Present.
Terry, I'm
Florence-
sorry, I was muted.
Oh, Rick, gotcha. Thank you so much. Florence Tremoni.
Present.
Stephen Parr.
Here.
Sean Bloom.
Here, present.
Lori Grassi.
Present.
Lori Tilton.
Present.
Okay, we have everybody except I don't know about Marcia. Marcia, are you here? Not right
Okay,
now.
just keep an eye on her.
She's still
All right.
logged in.
I'm going to hand it over to Christine now for this is motion 2024-14, item 10.5. Christine, if you could please present make your motion and go into your summary, etc.
I move that bylaws Article 5, Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 3, Election of Executive Council Members, Subsection 2 and Section 5, Election, and Term of Office of Executive Officers, subsections 4 through 8, amended, dated, Exhibit 1. Would you like me to read all of Exhibit 1?
Well, hang on a second. We need a second first, and please say your name when you second.
Florence, second.
All right,
Oh.
second by Florence, thank you. Okay, so please now, Christine, purpose, impact, and background.
Purpose. This proposal aims to clarify the number of terms that Executive Council members, which includes international officers, can serve. It also establishes a way for each members who have reached their term limit to return after a break and serve on the EC again, while prohibiting officers from returning to the same position after their term. Moreover, it ensures that a pool of past international presidents is available to fill vacancies that may arise for the position of international past president, with the acronym of IP. The impact of this motion ensures a pool of past international presidents to fill IP vacancies and allows members to return to serve on the EC. Once an office is termed out, an officer may not hold position again. Past international presidents may not return to the EC as an EC member except to fill an IP vacant position. The word only is in our written motion. However, this was error on the part of Brad. So the word only was that has been to accept. Background. When the new leadership structure was adopted in 2022, it was acknowledged that fine-tuning of the Blue Book would be necessary. Now that the club has experienced these initial rules, we can fine-tune them with clarity. Financial impact, there is no financial impact to the WBCCI.
Okay, thank you, Florence. Let's open up for discussion to the board. Any discussion or comments, questions? All right, John Becker, you first.
I just want to say, since Florence is also listed as a motion maker, if you need a different person to second it, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Nancy, comments or questions? And Nancy, you're muted.
Well, I appreciate all the work of the committee. I see where compromise had to occur for this, but I believe reversal of the original intent voted by membership when putting all of these EC procedures into place cannot be compromised. Term limits mean a once in a lifetime participation to me, and I think that was the original intent. So I do not support this motion.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. And then Artie, then Lori Tilton, and I think Kathy, and then Marcia.
Yes. Was anybody else experiencing the transmission cutting in and out while she was reading the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Just thought it was me.
In this case, no. I was worded the same thing too, Artie. So I'm with you, man. Lori Tilton, and then Kathy Giese, and then Marcia.
Yeah, I just have two things. One, agreeing with Artie, the cutting out, I would suggest maybe Christine to turn off your video so your audio is more consistent. But I would like her to mention whatever error there was that Brad fixed, because that totally cut out, number one. Number two, I just don't understand. I feel like this motion penalizes our members that want to volunteer and contribute to the club. I don't feel like it is encouraging for those. I don't know why, if somebody is doing a great job committing their time to the club and wanting to contribute, why we would penalize them and make them go away. To me, that is just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay, let me get the comments in, and then Christine, later when we get close to voting, just re-clarify the adjustments that you said. Okay, Kathy, and then Marcia, and then Jenny.
I actually did some research on Board Source, which is the preeminent resource for nonprofits. And typically, actually, the majority of nonprofit boards have 2 to 3 year 3-year terms for a total of 6 years. I think members, when we changed from a committee to a council, that I think pretty much everyone thought that they were voting for term limits, and a 6-year for lifetime, 8 years for past present. So I can't support it as written. I do have an amendment that I'm happy to present later.
Marcia, and then Jenny, and then Florence.
Yes, thank you. I also have the problem of having it cut out, but I wanted to know, would this, as it stands, have any impact on our existing officers? Because if so, if it's going to cut off someone's term in the middle of our EC term, I would not support it either. Thanks.
I'll let Christine address those when we get all the questions coming in. Okay, Jenny, and then Florence.
I would just like to offer an historical perspective as chair of the special committee that put all these rules together. This was submitted in April of 22. And this did include a return policy. And I see both sides. I see not wanting to allow people to go on and on and on and on. And I also see, well, now we have a hard time getting volunteers. Why are you nipping it in the bud if somebody wants to continue to serve? Our discussion led to a 2-year hiatus. Maybe the sweet spot is a 4-year hiatus. One of the challenges with 6 years is that it's so long, and the average age of us, other than all of you guys, you know, you're old, I'm young, but the average age, and then to wait 6 years out might be a bit of you might as well just say don't come back at all. So I don't know the answer to this. I just know that historically we also looked at this. So when you say this is what everybody voted on, this is what everybody wanted, it's hard for me to buy that, because we didn't all want that. We proposed not to have that limit of once you're off forever. Oh, and the second thing I wanted to double check, in your proposal, can an IPIP come back and serve more than one time as a returner? This pool of past presidents, let's say this year we're going to need to tap that pool, but then maybe 3 years from now, can that same person come back again?
Okay, again, I'll let we'll get the questions in, and then Christine can respond back to ones that she wants to clarify. Florence?
Maybe I should have let Christine respond to this, but Lori Tilton's comment about making people go away, I don't understand, because what we're doing here is opening the door for people to come back. We're not making them go away. We're just asking that they take a hiatus after they've termed out. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Again, this hiatus, maybe 6 years isn't the right number, but that's where we're at right now.
Okay, any other comments or questions before I hand it back to Florence to respond to your questions? I'm sorry, to Christine.
I think you mean Christine.
Yeah, I said Christine. I corrected. Okay, so no other comments, at least right now. Oh, Artie, go ahead.
Was this for international officers only?
EC.
For EC, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let's pause here on comments and questions. Christine, you had a number of questions or clarifications. Do you want to address those?
Yes, in regards to Marcia's question, no, it does not mean that someone leaves in the middle of their term. If a term is considered 2 years when elected, and the original intent was that you could do 3 terms. So during, if you're serving, no one's going to cut anybody off in the middle of a term and make it. Somebody refresh with me the other question that happened. I'm sorry, I thought I had written it.
Your correction in the purpose,
Oh.
changing the word only to accept.
Yes, the fact that when Brad and I discussed this, and can everyone hear me okay? Am I coming through?
Right now it's fine.
Okay. When I asked Brad, we caught that, Florence and I, when we read through, and I called Brad and he said that was a mistake. And it was indeed to be the word except and to strike the word only. So strike only and insert the word except. And that is the way it was an error when it was put into the book.
Christine, can you read the sentence, please, as corrected?
Past international presidents may not return to the EC as an EC member except to fill an international past president vacant position. Oh, I know. Jenny was asking. A past international president can come back, and it is in this motion, I believe, they will be allowed to serve again, but they must have a hiatus of 2 years. So if they come in as past international president, fulfilling that term from the pool, if they need to go back to the pool in the next term, that person cannot repeat. It has to go to one of the other past presidents in the pool, but they can come back in 2 years later.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion from the board? Lori Grassi?
I just need clarification for this error. Is this in section 5, subsection 6? And if Christine could identify exactly where that is, that would be helpful.
Lori, it is in the second purpose and impact. It is in the second paragraph that begins the impact of this motion. It is the last sentence. It looks like Jim has a question.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Lori Grassi to acknowledge that you got that.
Sorry, I did a thumbs up. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Jim Cock?
Yeah. The only concern that I have on behalf of the past international presidents is, whereas for any of the other positions on the executive council, we have a pool of, say, 17,000 members, the pool of international past presidents is not growing very rapidly. And we can't recruit them to become international past presidents readily. It's a small pool. We're right now polling the international past presidents to find out how many want to compete for the available seat that we have. And nobody's blown my email up yet. So I suggest that you might want to reconsider limiting the service of international past presidents willing to fill that seat. If we don't, then we will have that seat. Well, it's conjecture, but I suggest we'll have that seat vacant at times. And I don't think you want that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Brad next, and then let's see if I see you, Florence, but are there, oh, Brad's hand went down. Wait, wait. Brad's next if you want, but also I'm going to open it up to other region presidents or IBT EC members if you haven't spoken yet, then I'll go back to Florence. So Brad, you're first.
Yes, so this was put in place because as it's written now, the way the bylaws are written at this moment, once a international past president reaches 8 years, they cannot come back onto the EC at all. So eventually we're going to run out of people to fill that if their vacancy occurs. So that's why this language has been put in here, is to make sure we do have a pool, even though it's a very small pool. We want to continue to have a pool. Just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
But it doesn't ensure that. It still limits it. Thank you.
Well, without this language, there will come a time when there's nobody to fill because they've limited out. So this allows even a person who has served 8 years on the EC to be able to come back in and fill a vacancy, where right now they can't do it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Millie, and then again, I want to encourage any other of the region presidents or EC members who haven't weighed in to have a chance. This is an important thing to discuss. So, Millie?
Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Brad, for that clarification. I was going to ask specifically, why does this even have to be introduced? What was wrong with the original writing? That explained it better to me. So why can't this motion just be a very narrow and specific one in reference to that one issue, that yes, they can come back to fill a vacancy for the PIP? Why do we have to have all the other convoluted stuff?
I think it's a question for the motion maker for Christine.
I'm sorry, Christine.
Okay, the reason, are you, Millie, responding to the issue of the hiatus?
I'm asking why the motion is necessary in its broader context versus narrowing down the issue that Brad just talked about.
There was concern that while Nancy's assumption for many people may be correct, that term limits means term limits and you're done, we felt that it needed to be clarified that indeed you could serve 3 terms. Currently, it does not allow you to come back on. And now this grants a hiatus of 6 years and allows a person to run again. So it's an addition to what we.
But when you talk about that, you're saying the 6 years, that immediately addresses what Brad was just talking about, or what John was talking about. 6 years is a very long time, and we ain't getting any younger. You know, we're dropping like flies, basically. So 6 years is a very long time to old people. Just saying.
I think the reason that we talked about this is I'm going to give an example. You're about to, VAC is about to elect a very young president. I think James Shaw, if my understanding is the president-elect for VAC, he may be 21 years of age. I have no idea, but if somebody like Jim would decide after being president of the VAC, he would then like to run for EC, he could do his 3 terms, which would be 6 years. He would still be under 30 years of age. This would give somebody like him an opportunity to come back later on. It's really something looking at people that perhaps are younger. Millie, I agree with you. We are at the age when we do 6 years, we're not going to be looking to be coming back. But there are some people that may be very young that will run for the EC. And then this gives them an opportunity to come back.
Okay, let's get some more comments in. Again, we're at 2.5 hours, and I think we're starting to fade a bit, or perhaps it's just me. We have one more to go. So let's just see if we can conclude this one quickly. If not, then, we'll evaluate our options. So I see Nancy and then Stephen Parr comments.
A quick comment. I don't see how this clarified anything. I see that it introduced a whole new term called hiatus, and I just don't see the necessary. It's just doesn't seem necessary. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Stephen?
Yeah, real quick question. In the 69 years the club's been in existence, have we ever run into a problem where we didn't have enough international officers that we had to go back to another. And that's my comment or question.
You mean international past presidents?
Correct.
I can't, I don't know. I mean, we all know that in the past was different because the terms were only 1 year long. So we had a lot more past presidents queued up than we will in the future, but I don't know. Does anyone have an answer to that?
In the past, when we had executive committee, international presidents weren't allowed to come back and serve again. That they were one and done.
Correct. Okay. What I'm saying is, did we ever have a time when we couldn't get someone to fill a position? And I had a region member ask me the question, which is why I'm bringing it up. And he said in 25 years, he's never seen a problem like that.
Okay, Jim Cock.
Yeah, I submit that in 2014 to 15, we may well not have had a PIP sitting on the executive council, even though he was due that service, but he was so ill that I don't believe that that the late John Stump was able to fulfill his term as a immediate past president on the executive council. He was still technically in service, but I don't believe he attended any of our meetings. So that would answer your question affirmatively. It has happened.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lori, anything else you want to add before
just to tag on to that, I do know, I believe it kind of around the same timeline that another officer in the executive committee was not able to serve, so they had to withdraw, and then somebody was appointed into the steps of going into presidency. They were not voted in, they were appointed in.
Okay, thank you. So here's where we are. We've had discussion on it, and I think there may be a request for an amendment. But before we go to the next stage, I just have to offer, Christine, do you want to continue with this or do you want to pull it? What's your preference?
I think we would like to see this finished, Eric.
Okay, so now I recognize Kathy Giese.
Yes, thank you. And I would like to move to amend motion 2024-14, titled Clarify the Term Limits of Executive Council Members and Ensure a Future Pool of Past International President Candidates to fill IPIP vacancies, bylaws, et cetera, et cetera. The section would read, let me back up. We need to strike the new proposed hiatus language in this subsection and replace it with in their lifetime. This section would read, Section 3, Election of Executive Council Members. Executive Council members may serve on the council for only 6 years in their lifetime. The exception is the immediate past international president, who may serve on the council for a maximum of 2 additional years immediately following their term as president, notwithstanding Section 5, subsection 6.
Okay, so again, just as your board president, we're 2.5 hours in. And we have another thing to go. So one option the board has, and this is actually for you, Christine.
Excuse me, Eric, you need a second on the amendment.
Understood, Lori, thank you. So one option you still have as an option as the board has is that we do have another committee. They're going to be looking at some of these things later. That's the Briggs/Leadership Recruitment and Oversight. So we can continue down the discussion on this topic, or we can defer it to a later group. Again, up to you. This is really still a question for you, Christine, on this.
I would like to address Kathy's motion and see how people feel about that.
Okay, so do we have a second on the motion?
Second, Nancy seconds, Nancy Fitzgerald seconds.
Okay, great. All right, let's have a discussion on the proposed amendment language. I see Terry Warren with her hand up first.
So just to be clear, Kathy, what you're saying is no return. What, you're 6 years and you're done. That's the amendment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Just
Any other discussion or questions? Ginny, you're muted.
Does that mean that if an international past president returns, they can never come back again? That's it? They're only allowed once?
No. What that means, the international past president can come back in as an international past president if needed.
No,
Hey,
Kathy.
no, this is referencing the amendment that Kathy has proposed. So ask your question again, Jenny, and then Kathy, you answered because you proposed the amendment.
Kathy, does this mean that in your proposal that an international past president cannot come back at all after they have served their time as international past president?
No.
Perhaps more than no would be helpful right now. I think we're a little.
I'm conscious of the time ticking here. No, this strictly addresses it says the exception is the immediate past international president who may serve on the council for a maximum of 2 immediate years following their term as president, notwithstanding section 5, subsection 6. As I interpret this, we're not talking about international past presidents. What we're talking about is what I would call regular members on the EC.
Kathy, can I ask a second question?
You bet.
So how would we fill the vacancy we have now?
Well, we have a committee of international past presidents who are currently going to vote on who to fill it with.
I understand that, but what my point is, let's say somebody has they've served 6 years on an EC, they were president, and then the last 2 years, year 7 and 8, they're an international past president, and they're gone. They've served a total of 8 years on the EC. So they can never come back and fill a space that was vacated?
May I answer that?
Yes. Yes, Brad. Thank you.
So you're welcome. So the exception that she wrote in her amendment refers down to new language, which allows a previous international president to come back onto the board to fill a vacancy. That's why we meant in the title to ensure a future pool of past international president candidates. So there, in her amendment, there's the exception of allowing them to come back on.
Thanks, Brad.
Do you mind reading that part again? I'm a bit confused about the actual language you used.
I think the part that Brad was alluding to was notwithstanding section 5, subsection 6. And I think that's what he's discussing, that a past president can be pulled back up again. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong.
You are 100%. Yes, you are right. That subsection 6 is the new language that allows a past president to be voted back onto the EC as in the position of immediate past president by his peers, his or her peers.
So y'all, this is really hard to do real time, but we'll keep going. John, and then Millie, and then Jim, and then Sean.
I just wanted to make sure, Kathy, that your amendment is there's a section 3, number 2, where it's the penultimate sentence that says after a 6-year hiatus. That's what you're striking.
Correct.
Okay.
Millie, I think next, right? And then Jim.
Yes, thank you. I really feel that both the original motion and the amendment have a lot of confusion and some questions that still need to be answered. And I highly recommend that we do not pass these and that we allow Brad and Jennifer Dice to let their committee really iron it out properly so that we don't maybe make a big mistake.
I'd support that.
Well, wait, so hang on a second. So we can't right now because there's a motion that's been seconded by you. And so if you pull that motion, then we're back to the original one, and that's up to Christine to pull. So I think we're kind of down this road right now. So let's finish comment on the amendment language. So Jim Cock and then Son Blom.
Okay, well, and my comment goes back to the original motion, not the amendment, because the amendment isn't doing the 2-year hiatus, so I'll hold it. Thank you.
Okay, this is comment just on the proposed amendment. Sean and then Florence.
So I'm just hoping that someone can educate me. I am so brand new to all this, but do we have trouble finding executive council members that are not past presidents? I mean, I'm a little worried that we're gonna just, axe out these people and they can't come back. It seems like it's so hard to find good people and good people who want to serve. So will someone please educate me?
Well, hang on a second. Let's get some more questions, and I'll go back to, so we're on the amendment now, right? Which is the one that Kathy introduced. So Florence, questions on the amendment?
Not a question, a comment, and it might answer Sean's question a little bit. I think the amendment is proposing a lifetime ban on EC members ever serving again. And I think as our club becomes younger and we get more extremely experienced people who want to serve, I don't understand why we can't let them take a 6-year break when they're going to probably roll into a whole new EC with all new membership and serve again and be great.
Okay, any other comments from the board, especially people who haven't had a chance to raise their hand? This is on the amendment language proposed by Kathy. Okay, so without objection, the amendment passes. Is there objection to the amendment as stated by Kathy Giese?
I object.
Name, please, always.
Millie O'Donnell, sorry.
Okay, so we have an objection, so we'll do a roll call vote on the amendment.
Hello again. Ready? EC member Jim Cock.
I oppose the amendment.
So that's a no.
That's a no. Thank you.
Okay. Christine Baum.
Yes.
Yes to the amendment.
Yes to the amendment.
Okay. Jenny Schnettler.
No.
Millie O'Donnell.
No.
Fred Keel.
No.
Chris Olson.
No.
Marcia House.
No.
Jan Hevener.
No.
Kendall Felder.
No.
Nancy Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Stephen Parr.
No.
I'm going to vote no. Patty Galupo.
Yes.
Artie Martin.
No.
Florence Tremoni.
No.
Rick Everson.
No.
Bard Fuller.
No.
Sean Bloom.
No.
John Becker.
No.
Kathy Giese.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment fails. 4 yeses, the rest noes.
Okay, thank you. So Christine, we're back to the original motion. So there were some suggestions about some modifications in duration, I believe, but as motion maker, what's your preference? Do you want to continue with this or have some more discussion with the board and bring it back later? Your choice.
I would like to continue with this particular motion.
Okay. So the motion, as we're going to vote on the any other discussion on the motion as originally introduced?
Eric, just a reminder that it is a 6-year hiatus that we are suggesting, and that yes, an international past president can come back on as an international past president.
Okay, I'm just asking the board to vote on what's in the book as amended by the small thing you mentioned earlier. So, okay, any other discussion or questions, Lori Tilton?
Yeah, I just wonder, I feel like a 6-year hiatus is too long. And I feel like all this focus on the PIPs is we're trying to solve a problem we don't have right now. So I feel like we need to refocus and take this off the table and relook at it. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
So if the board chooses they want to take it off the table, they would vote no, and we'd bring it up later potentially. If the board votes yes, then it'll pass as written. All right, any other discussion on the topic? Lori, I'm sorry, Terry?
So how do we go about saying that we would like to take this off the table? We vote no? Would Christine be open to taking it off, or you want to vote, Christine?
See the vote, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion before we go to voting on the amendment as written?
So no means,
No means the motion fails and everything's dead in the water.
yeah, thank you.
And then the board has the opportunity to bring it back later, either as part of the Briggs / LRO group or an individual region president or whatever. Okay, so without objection, the motion 2024.14 as written passes as is, or is there an objection?
I move to table the motion.
I object. Millie O'Donnell.
So move to table isn't debatable, so you have to go directly to a vote.
I'm sorry, Lori, so I think I understand it, but just explain that to the board, please.
So it does require a second, so let's start there first. Is there someone that seconds the lay on the table?
I second Jenny
I
Schnettler.
second.
Okay, so it's not debatable. You go straight to a vote, and it needs a simple majority.
Okay, let's do a
This
roll
is a
call.
vote to table. Yeah.
Correct. This is a vote to table. So we'll do a roll call on that one directly. Go ahead, if you could, Terry, for your fourth or fifth roll call.
I'm running out of forms here, guys. No, we can do it. We can do it. Okay. Region 10, Florence Tremoni. This is a vote to table.
No.
Nancy Fitzgerald.
No, no table.
Rick Everson.
Yes.
Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
Jan Hevener.
Yes.
John Becker.
No table.
Millie O'Donnell.
Yes, table it.
Jim Cock.
Yes.
I vote yes to table it. Patty Glupo.
Yes.
Stephen Parr.
Yes.
Marcia House.
Yes.
Kendall Felder.
Yes.
Fred Keel.
Yes.
Kathy Giese.
Yes.
Bard Fuller.
No.
Chris Olson.
Yes.
Christine Baum.
No.
Sean Bloom.
Yes.
Artie Martin.
Yes.
Okay, the motion to table this, the vote to table this motion passes. There were
Okay, thank you.
5
So it's been tabled. And again, if it needs to come back, then any region president, of course, can bring it up in the normal course of business. I would also suggest that Brad Briggs, when you and Jennifer Dice from Leadership Recruitment consider your sort of your things you want to look at, consider this also, if you could, please. All right, our last agenda item, Christine, back to you. This is item 10.6, motion 2024.15, 15. You can read the motion, please.
I move that WBCCI bylaws Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 11, resignations or removal, subsection 3, be amended to align the removal process with the region presidents, declare regions by such removal may happen, and bylaws Article regions subsection 2, subsection G, add a new subsection 3 by moving it from subsection 8 4, adding the reasons which such removal may happen in Exhibit 1.
Okay, this requires a second. Is there a second? Please say your name when you second. Is there a second for the motion?
Nancy Fitzgerald, I second.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. All right, if you could please read the purpose, impact, and background, Christine.
This section outlines the procedure an international or council member from their position. It aligns with the existing process for region presidents and states the grounds for removal. The impact of this motion is to ensure that the removal process for international officers, executive council members, and region presidents is initiated consistently and that the reasons for removal are the same. Background. Longer terms of office on the EC have increased the potential for the need for an officer to be removed. The current process that uses the ethics and grievance process is not appropriate in situations where the removal of an international officer or executive council member is being considered. It is recognized that a similar process should be implemented to remove international officers or executive council members, as was recently adopted to remove a region officer from office. For either group, there are no stated reasons for removal. Financial impact, there is no financial impact to WBCCI.
Thanks, Christine. Now, was there a motion, an amendment to that you were accepting ahead of time, or is this what you're bringing to the board?
There is amendment that Florence and I have accepted from Region 2, and Patty Gallupo is bringing that forward.
Okay, since it's something that you guys as motion makers have already agreed to accept, Patty, go ahead and read what your amendment is, please.
Yep, thanks, Eric. I'd like to amend, I move to amend motion 2024-15 titled Procedure to Remove International Officers and Executive Council Members, and alignment with the procedure for region officers removal bylaws, Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 2, new subsection 3, and bylaws, Article 9, regions, Section 2, subsection G, 3, by number 1, striking the sentence, cause for removal may be defined as, but not limited to, and the 4 enumerated causes in both places. Number 2, I would like the minutes to reflect that causes for removal and the process to administer such will be defined in a future policy document.
Thanks, Patty. And I just want to try to paraphrase and correct me if I've got it wrong. And so you're proposing that keep the amendment as is, except for removing the sentence that describes the reasons for cause, but administer that in an upcoming policy document. Is that?
That's exactly right, Eric. And if you like me to elaborate for a minute, I can. If not, go through whatever process is appropriate.
Okay, and so the motion makers, I understand that Christine accepts this, as does Florence. And so let's do questions now about the motion as amended by the motion maker. All right, questions on this one, please. Terry, I'm gonna hold on you first because you've had a number of, and Millie as well. Any other the region presidents that have not asked? Let you guys get up first this time. Okay, all right, Terry, then Millie, and then Jim.
I'm just curious about why you want that removed.
Basically 2 reasons, Terry, and I just want to note that since the meeting board book was published, we've worked very closely, and we thank Brad and Florence and Christine for shepherding our Region 2 leadership team through this. Number 1, we don't disagree with aligning everything. We think it's very appropriate that it be consistent, whatever the removal reasons are going to be. But I think the main problem, or one of the things that we questioned, was number 1, the 4 reasons as listed. We had a couple of questions on clarifications of building out some of the definitions in those 4 points. And again, I can go through them if you want. But I think most importantly, and I think we would all agree, both in our past lives, whatever jobs we all had and maybe still have prior to coming on here, that this is a serious section. Removing anybody could cause all kinds of liability for the club if there's not, and this is the crux of it, if there's not a set procedure to remove somebody, ramifications, a sliding scale of punishment, for lack of a better word. And I think for me, part of the problem when we make suggestions to amend the bylaws, and I understand the process, is that the bylaws and the motions have to come first, and defining the how part has to come second. And ideally, those two things should be as close as you can to putting them together. This language hanging out there without a defined process for removal and a more clear definition of the four that are listed, we believe is needed to make sure we cover ourselves as an organization if we are going to remove somebody.
Thank you very much.
And I understand you've also committed from Region 2 to
yes,
need to bring this back to the board at a soon but later date.
Yeah, we volunteer to work on policy, work on a committee, whatever you guys need to bring this home. We stand at the ready to help out.
Love it. Thank you. All right. Other comments? Millie, and then let's see, where are we?
Okay, I can keep it short. Thank you, Patty. That was a very succinct explanation, and I appreciate that. My question was basically, how do you have a policy to remove an officer without cause listed? And the causes that were listed in that initial policy are examples. They're not limited to, as it says. It would almost be impossible to write a list of actual exact things somebody could do wrong to get kicked off. You have to have kind of just a basis, which is what that was for. That's all.
Okay, thank you. John.
I agree with what Millie said, but I also think we shouldn't pass something where it almost sounds to me like the amendment says, well, more details to come later. And if that's the case, we ought to get those details before we pass the original and just come back with a complete work product rather than pass something that's partial and say, we're going to come back and fill it in.
That's our point exactly, John. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to, any more discussion on the proposal plus the amendment from the motion maker? Okay, then so we're going to go to a vote on this one. And so if it passes, then those lines would be stricken from the bylaws. But you have the commitment of Region 2 to work with CBL and others to bring something back to the board in the near future, which is the policy that will go with the bylaws. I think that's what the proposal is that you all will be voting on.
And my understanding, Eric, is that they intend to have this ready for the August IBT.
Okay, so that's a proposal. We haven't voted yet. So John, back to you.
Yeah, because I thought we were just commenting on the amendment first, and then we go to the proposal.
Yeah, so
because I have a comment on the proposal after we get done with the amendment.
Yeah, if the amendment is accepted, which we'll do that vote next, then we'll vote on the entire amended thing. Okay. All right, so we're now voting on the amendment, and if the board passes it, then we'll now vote on the total policy as amended. Yeah, okay, so without objection, the motion as amendment passes.
I object.
The amendment, okay.
Becker.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, it's fine.
Ready? Yep. Okay.
So hang on a second, just make sure we're clear because it's kind of confusing. So the motion was accepted by the motion maker. So we're voting on the whole thing now, really. And so if you all vote no on this one, then I'm not sure where we are. Lori Grassi, can you help me with this?
Yeah, technically Nancy seconded this motion, so she needs to approve the amendment. And then that finishes that piece of it, and then you vote on the motion as amended by Patty Gallupo.
So if I do not second, that means I I don't support this amendment. So I'm not going to second this amendment. Correct?
Then the second was made, or I'm sorry, the amendment was made. So somebody has to second it for the amendment to continue.
Am I
Okay.
allowed to second it?
You're all allowed to second
Anyone
it.
can
but me.
second it. So is there a second to the amendment to the motion? And then we'll vote on the amendment, then we'll go back to the motion.
Florence, second.
All right, great. Florence, second. All right, any other discussion on the amendment to the motion, which removes those lines and replaces it with a proposal later to bring it back to the board as part of policy? Any other discussion on that? I see Jenny Snetler.
Thank you. Yes, if you're thinking that you're going to have this ready for the August IBT, why are we voting on anything now? Why can't we have the completed thing in August?
So that would, are you suggesting the table? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure. I understand. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to understand what you're asking.
Well, Christine said that they were expecting to, it just seems like the egg is not ready to hatch. And Christine said that they would be ready in August. So can't we wait till August? Is that?
So Jen, you're saying you want to see both together?
Don't you? Yeah, I kind of think that's what John Becker's saying as well.
Well, it seems to be that we were following kind of historical, and Brad can let me know, yes or no, that in the past, bylaws have been the motion first and the policy follows. And that's what we were following here, that past procedure where bylaws were passed first and policy followed.
Thank you.
Stephen, and then Jim. Okay, maybe just Jim then.
I make a motion to table it.
Jim,
Okay.
5 seconds.
Okay, so Grassy, just help me make sure we do this right.
To table the amendment?
So wait, so hang on. Lori knows what I'm asking. So we have initial motion, we have a amendment that I'm not sure has been seconded or not, and we have a tabling on, I think, the amendment or the whole thing. It's unclear.
The whole thing.
Okay, Grassy, walk us through this, please.
Okay, so I'm getting all kinds of input, and I believe that the motion was amended and accepted, and the amendment was seconded. You now have a new motion on the floor, which is laying on the table, and that takes precedent with no debate and a simple majority.
Okay, so now we're voting on tabling it, correct?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Okay. And do we need a second to table? I believe we do. Is there a no?
We have that. Jim,
Already
5
given.
seconds.
Okay, just making sure we all got it right. So we don't want to go too fast. So we have a motion to table from ultimately who did it? I think it was
Stephen Parr, Region 11 president.
Stephen Parr. Your motion was to table it?
Mhm.
That's affirmative.
Okay, great. And the second was?
Jim 5.
Perfect. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table. All right, let's do a roll call.
Okay. Christine Baum,
No.
Jenny Schnetler,
Yes.
Millie O'Donnell,
Yes.
Fred Keel,
Yes.
Chris Olson,
Yes.
Marcia Howard,
Yes.
Jan Hevener.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Kendall Felder,
Yes. Yes.
thank you. Nancy Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Stephen Parr,
Yes.
Patty Galupo. I'm a little confused. Can I interject here, Terry?
No.
So, no,
I'm
I
sorry.
can't. Oh,
There's
okay.
a roll call.
Okay.
I will clarify that we're voting on tabling it.
Let me manage the discussion if y'all would, please. So
Okay.
the clarification is we're voting on tabling it. We're in the middle of a roll call, Patty. So the vote is with you, from Terry on tabling.
Oh God. Yes.
Artie Martin,
Yes.
Lawrence Trimoni,
No.
Rick Everson, Mr. Rick, are you here with us?
Yes.
Thank you. Bard Fuller,
Yes.
Sean Bloom,
Yes.
John Becker,
No.
Jim Cox,
Yes.
Kathy Giese.
Yes.
The motion to table whatever it is to table this passes. The motion is tabled.
Okay, so let me ask then that on these last two, that Christine, give it some thought, what you want to do next on these last two. And if it's something that we want to roll into the Briggs / LRO, work with them, please, on that, or feel free to bring it back at a later date to the board as part of the normal process. All righty, thank you all. We do have a quick table for region business announcements. Let's do a quick around the table. We'll start with region 1.
Yes, Region 1 just did their region rally and was very successful. And we're taking a vacation from region rally stuff for another year. And then we'll come back to the Nova Scotia one. So we're waiting for that in September of 2025.
Thanks, Bart. Region 2.
I'm sorry, repeat that, Eric?
Oh, any updates for region 2? We just do a round table, really quick this time, region updates on anything of particular interest.
No, we also had a region rally a couple, 3 weeks ago. So everything went well and we were happy to host it.
Thank you. Region 3.
We had a very successful region rally the middle of April. It featured roasted oysters and Brunswick stew, as well as lots of ice cream, and much fun was held by all. We will also, our next region experience will be the Old Fiddlers Rally, which is currently full, but we are maintaining a waiting list, and that happens in August.
Thank you. Region 4.
Yes, and I hope I get this expressed correctly, but I just wanted to toss out there one of the positive things about being a region officer is in our busy life, we want to do things, This gives us an excuse to go out and visit our local clubs at their rallies. And Kathy and I and our first puppy, Remy, are planning on doing that starting next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Fred. All right, region 6.
You skipped region 5.
I did. Region 5. Artie, I'm sorry, buddy.
You're trying to shut me down
And
again.
I'm in your region also. This is horrible. I apologize.
Just got done with a very successful Region 5 rally in Hannibal, Missouri. Well attended and had lots of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. Region 6.
Region 6, we've been very busy. Our clubs they're camping, they're going, they're doing, and they're doing great. We just got through with Airstreams on the Square. That was a complete success. We enjoyed ourselves, and everybody that visited from other states, I believe it was a great time by all. I'm getting ready for my region rally. It will be in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's a great experience up there. I think you're saying Eric smiled because he just left that area. There's so much to do. We're going to have seminars. We're going to eat. We're going to have fun. And that's what it's all about. That is what this is all about. So I appreciate it. And y'all come see us.
Thanks, Jen. Region 7.
Hi, we have our Region 7 rally coming up in September out in Spearfish, South Dakota. And we have a plethora of things planned, including if you want to get up close to a bison or a buffalo, depending on what you want to call it, we have buffalo feeding tours scheduled for the rally attendees. So again, open invitation, registration is open, and it's on the Region 7 website.
Chris, thanks for stepping in for Ginger. I know that she had some connectivity issues. So welcome to the IBT. There's 3 hours out of your life that you never want back again. So it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Region
thank you.
Hey, yes, Eric, we just completed our region rally. We were at Branson, Missouri. We was co-sponsored with Bill Thomas Airstream. He brought down 4 trailers and a crew of guys to help out with any minor things. It was well attended. We saw 3 great shows, did a couple tours, and we just started our plans for next year. We're going to go to Amana, Iowa in April of 2025. So we had a great time.
Awesome, Rick, and thank you. You guys know Rick's region has been fantastic, helping you all getting ready for you to come to Sedalia. And so, Rick, you'll be hosting the largest international rally, and I don't know how many years there. So, thank you so much for all your team's work on that.
Very much looking forward to it, and that's the next focus now.
Thank you. Region 9.
Well, first of all, bye. This will be the last time you see me. And if I get Botox, I'll come back and show you how I repaired that area. But it's been an honor and an education to work with you. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity and will never forget it. Just 3 quick things to let you know that you will see signups from Region 9 that have to do with Sedalia. Anna Brandon, our second VP, has discovered a kind of a little niche here for people who love quilting excursions. So people will have an opportunity to sign up for a trip to Hamilton, Missouri on a bus for a quilting excursion. This is supposed to be the quilt capital of the world. Just a wonderful experience. So I know a lot of people will be looking for that. Don't forget our blood drive. Region Now will be sponsoring a blood drive 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll be receiving links to sign up if you are a blood donor and want to get a t-shirt. And the last thing, Region 9 is responsible this year for the officers gathering on Saturday, October 5th at 4 p.m. in the Ag Theater. You will get a link that allows you to sign up for a wonderful charcuterie board and wine tasting event. And we will be sending this to your past president, people like me, and your new president, and your first and your second VP. And we will really encourage a lot of cohort discussions and team building and opportunities to get to know each other. So charcuterie sign up and a blood drive sign up and a quilting excursion signing up coming your way soon from Region 9. So miss y'all already. Nod.
You can come back and serve on committees. You know that, right? I'll be tapping you.
Oh, I will. I am going to work with Margaret Hanshoe on national event rallies. I think Fred is also going to do that. So I'm going to look forward to being just the party planner, which is what I do best. Thank you.
Okay, Region 10.
We also just had our region rally last week or 2 weeks ago in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I think the biggest 2 highlights, Aurora Borealis showed up in a really big way. And there's so many great pictures of Airstreams with just the Northern Lights booming. But I think more importantly is we held a silent auction for the Union Gospel Mission Women and Children's Crisis Center in Coeur d'Alene, which is not a very big community. We raised $11,000. And I will be working with the region presidents as a whole over the next year to encourage silent auctions, raffles, whatever region you're in. I think Airstreamers love to give and give of their time, give of their talent and their treasure. And this was our first time doing anything like this big, and it's so exciting.
Thanks, Florence. And Sean, Region 12.
About 11.
Oh my gosh. 11. Thank you. Sorry about
that. All right, Region 11, from May through August, we've got scheduled 20 rallies. I want to give a shout out to everybody that attended the rally. region because I was a
Steven, you've kind of frozen, at least for me.
Yeah.
Me as well.
Okay, Steven, we're just going to skip back to 12 and go back, try again of 11 again. Okay, Sean, just step in if you could.
So our region rally is in September in beautiful Lake Tahoe. We cannot claim selling out as fast as Region 10, although we were pretty close. We sold out in an afternoon. We've got 150 trailers showing up in Lake Tahoe. I definitely want to hear about how we can raise more money, as our organization that we're going to sponsor is Wildlife Rescue, and the people there are unbelievable. And then lastly, if you ever get an opportunity to attend Cali Rally, it's held at a cattle ranch in Parkfield, California. We just wrapped that up in April, and it was really, really wonderful. So that's it from Region 12.
Okay, back to you, Steven.
What did you hear or not hear?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. You heard about the region having 20 events coming up?
Yeah.
And how great the Eclipse Rally was, no matter what region you were in. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of us. And that it was really an honor and a privilege to serve as the Region 11 president, and an honor and a privilege to be associated with the crew that's on here now. And the new region president will be John Hawley, which I'm sure all of you know. So thank you very much, and see you down the road.
All right, thank you all. Thank you for the long day. Progress and, whatever. So, all right, we will catch you all later. All right, take care. I got to sign off as well. I'm getting kicked out of my campsite. Bye.
Yeah.